So everybody, welcome to today's video. Obviously, we're going to be taking over Brighton. We put this up on the community page, and yeah, Brighton won by a decent amount, 39%. Brighton's also a team I'm very interested to take over because they have this knack of bringing young players in really cheap and selling them on for like a crazy amount of money. Obviously, Moises Caicedo, probably one of the biggest ones they've sold on. I think they bought him for, was it about 18 million? It's probably a wee bit more than that, and then sold them on for over 100 million to Chelsea. But you know my love for developing young players, but we have to remember we're also in the Premiership. And sometimes you can't just play all young players because the Premiership's a little rough. You know me, I'm going to try and do it anyway because I love developing young players. But obviously, like I said, taking over Brighton, our media prediction is to finish 10th. But on top of that, if you go to Brighton's history, they haven't really won anything. They've won like a Community Shield, some Sky Bet League 1, Sky Bet League 2. So obviously, never won the FA Cup, never won the Carabao Cup. Never won the Premiership. I don't think, as far as I remember, they've been in much European football at all, and obviously never won anything. So I would like to change that and turn them into like, look, can we win the title in 5 seasons? I don't know, it's a little rough, but we do have a decent amount of money, which is fantastic. Go over into the scouting. We have a total of 69 million, which is fantastic. It's going to help us out a lot because we are going to have to obviously revamp the squad a little bit. But that's my goal. Bring us up into being at least in a top 7 team like every season. Keep us in European football at some point, try and fight for the league, obviously win some cups along the way, and then on top of that also develop some really good young players. As you can see, the reputation is 3.5 star, which is solid. They have good training facilities at 4.5 star. Youth training facilities are 4.5 star. Their youth recruitment is a little low at 2.5 stars, so this is something I am obviously going to work on. But we do have some fantastic players at the club. Obviously, Big Bart in nets is going to be one of the main ones as well. Look, I think he's a little better in real life than he is in this version of FM. He's still only 21 years old, 6'4", really good keeper all around. Obviously, got a long way to go to progress. And they also have big Jan Paul van Heck, who another one, 6'2", really good player. Good mental attributes, good technical attributes, can carry the ball actually relatively well. A little slow for the Premiership, as you can see, his physical stats and speed. His physical stats look a lot worse than what they are, because like the only thing that's bad is acceleration and a little bit of pace, but that's something we can work on. I don't think it's going to improve too much, but the only thing is the Saudi League are kind of interested in him, and so's PSG, so trying to keep a hold of him is going to be a bit of an issue. But he's one I would like to keep because he's 6'2", he's 24, big physical player, he's got a good mentality, consistent, enjoys the big games. And the big man that plays him beside him, Igor, 26 years old, Brazilian left-footed, which is hard enough to find on its own. He's got a good mentality, he's consistent, physical stats are very good. He's pretty decent all round. We have young 19-year-old young Jack Hinzelwood, I think that's how you pronounce his name. One, fantastic because he's English. He has good potential, very good potential. Actually, he's a 2.5 star, has 4 to 5 star potential. He'll probably hit like 3.5, I would say. So even if we get another star, a 1.5 stars out of him, he's one I'm probably going to train to play it right back, because you know yourself, trying to find like fullbacks in FM can be a little rough. But one, like I said, he's English, which is going to help us with registration. We do have a very good left back in Purvis Estepinan. You know I'm terrible trying to pronounce people's names, but look, he is very good physically. Absolutely ridiculous. As you can see, natural fitness is good, stamina is good, he's fucking blisteringly quick, little one-footed, but look, he can't get everything. He's good at carrying the ball, good crossing. He's one I would like to keep hold of. But yeah, the Saudi League is after him, but he is valued at 51 to 60 million. Look, I'm not gonna lie, if the Saudi League come in and offered us anywhere from like 55 to 70 million for him, it's going to be very difficult to say no, because obviously I would like to invest the money into bringing some young players in the team. But him in himself, he's only 26, so if I can hold on to him, I would like to keep him in the squad, because like I said, finding good fullbacks in FM that you don't get your pants pulled down for the price trying to bring them in, it can be a little difficult sometimes. Obviously their main young player is going to be Carlos Baleba. Look, everybody is after this kid, but look, if we're being realistic, Man United are after him. I'm a Man United supporter. Well, I wouldn't say they're after him. They were interested, but I think if we're being realistic, his price tag is going to be 70 to 90 million and around there. Like, they're going to be looking big money for Billy, but he's very good all round. He's only 20. He's 6 foot. I think he's actually a little taller in real life. He's got a good mentality. The only thing I would recommend if you are starting to save with Brighton, his determination can be a little weird. It goes anywhere from 4 up to 14. My buddy's actually doing a save with Brighton at the minute, and has Baleba's got 4 determination in his save. So yeah, if you start up a save and Baleba's determination is really low, I recommend probably just loading up another one. I don't understand how the determination can go from fucking 4 to 14, but anyway, Baleba's very good. Like I said, he's good all around. He can pass, he can tackle. He's your perfect like box to box midfielder. Obviously obviously on top of that, they have some really, really good players like João Pedro. Obviously, of me recording this, he is just signed for Chelsea. So look, I think this is I don't know how to feel about Chelsea signing so many players. It's like it's like Chelsea is playing Football Manager, like we'll take him, we'll take him, we'll take him, we'll take him. Obviously, look, as new managers come in and stuff, they're gonna need to change players and who they want to bring in. I think João Pedro is a fantastic player. Look, the thing that I love about him, he's very, very technically gifted, but he also works insanely hard, which I love, and he's still only 22 years old. Matoma, another one that's absolutely fantastic. Who wants him? Saudi League, goddamn bro, the Saudi League's after everybody. Matoma, another one, like I said, 27 years old, very, very explosive, good on the ball, little one-footed, but look, it is what it is. Really, really good player. Of course, one that I've loved to see do really, really well has been Danny Welbeck. Obviously, like I said, as Man United supporter, I was actually really upset whenever Man United sold Danny Welbeck. I think just at the time when Danny Welbeck was at the club, there was too many good strikers in front of him, so it's good to see that he did. How much did we actually sell Danny Welbeck for? 16 million to Arsenal. It's wild. I'm not gonna lie to you, I completely forgot that it was Arsenal. Then he went to Watford for free, went to Brighton, and he's done absolutely fantastic. Still 33, but like his natural fitness is good, his stamina is good, he works hard, he's technically gifted. One a little injury prone, which could be a wee bit of an issue. Do have some really, really good young exciting players, Julio and Ciso, another one, but he's currently out on loan for the season, so we can't do anything with him. But another one, his mental stats a little sort of sideways, but he's only 20. And then of course big Facundo, I'm not even gonna fucking try and pronounce his second name. You can leave in the comments down below and let me know how to pronounce it. Another one, 19 years old, Argentinian, he's also out on loan for the season, so we can't do anything with him. But another one, look, technically gifted, mental stats look a lot better, and he also works hard, so next year could be a player to bring into the first team. And then another one who is out on loan, who I would actually like to have this season, is Evan Ferguson. Another one that just like, they don't seem to know what to do with Evan Ferguson. There was a lot of hype around him a couple seasons, loads of teams wanted him, and then he just hasn't played a lot. I think the main thing is he hasn't played a lot of football, and at his age he should be loaned out and be playing a ton of football because he has the talent. 6'2", I think he's actually once again a little bigger in real life. Play with both feet. He's Irish, knowing one of my sort of fellow countrymen. He's got a good mentality. He's consistent, has a lot of potential. But then obviously how good they are in FM doesn't mean how good they are in real life. But an exciting young player. But like I said, he's out on loan for the season, so we can't do anything. Of course, we do have people like Tyreek Lamptey, who another one, very, very injury prone. But like, yeah, he's very, very explosive. But that's kind of... It's kind of that's his thing and that's it. But he's got a good mentality, he's consistent, he enjoys the big games, he can play on both sides, even though technically he can't because he's got one weak foot and one very strong foot. But another one I would like to probably move on if I could, or keep as a squad player. So this is what the team looks like currently right now. I'm actually, for a wee bit of a change, I'm going to play a 4-4-2. This is a very, very good 4-4-2. Like I said, the save file, the corner routine, the tactic, and the updated database will all be in the pinned comments down below for you to go and pick up once this video goes live. So like I said, I want to try something a little different. Look, I'm a huge fan of 4-4-2s. It's a system, it's kind of hard to get going, but this tactic is absolutely fantastic. We've been using this in our Man United rebuild over on the Twitch. See if you want to come over and check that out. Look, everything will be in the description for you to check out. But look, we have a good team. For Bergen, that guy at left back, Igor Van Heck, and then Hingelwood, and then João Pedro, Baliba, and Matoma, and then Danny Welbeck. Obviously, Evan Ferguson will be in here as the advance forward if we did have him. But we are going to need to replace Welbeck at some point because, look, even though he's really, really good in real life, he's fit, he looks after himself, he's probably going to play for a bunch more years. Football Manager, as you know, doesn't do that. He's also injury prone. He's going to be 34 this year. Ideally, I would like to have Evan Ferguson in here as the pressing forward because he works hard, he's big, strong, he's quick, he's physical, so he'd be good for his pressing forward, and then bring somebody in to play as the advance forward. I think we also need somebody to play in DM. We have a couple of options in here. Obviously, we have like James Milner and stuff, who, look, once again, had a fantastic career, but just like, he's fucking 39 this year. I would like to sort of replace him. Look, James Milner has had a good career, but it's one I think we need to replace a little bit. We do have a few other players that could probably play in there, but if we want to do well in the Premiership, we have the money, so we may as well invest that money into bringing some good players in. Another thing, obviously, I love to do every time I go in and do the save, is I'm probably going to have to upgrade our staff. Our head of youth development is 16, 14, and 14, so I'm going to get rid of him and bring somebody a little bit better in. And then coaches wise, look, Bobby Zamora, not a great coach. Look, good player, just not a great coach in FM. Fitness coaches, our goalkeeping coach is actually pretty solid. I'm pretty happy with him. The next one, he's okay. I would look to probably get rid of him and replace him with someone a little bit better. And then with regards to fitness, like they're only 15. If you're playing in the Premiership, you should want the best of the best staff because the league is so competitive. Like we small edges, like your team being fitter than another team can literally win you a game. Like it really, really can. And obviously, I always upgrade the staff. Anytime I don't show people how I get my staff and Football Manager and the saves, they always end up pinning in the comments. They're like, how do you get your staff? So I always show how I go about my staff in Football Manager. It's actually really simple. The regen staff in this game is absolutely insane. So the first thing you're going to do, obviously, go over to staff, go to staff search, go over list, we can drop down and go to coaching attributes. You're going to go over to the right hand side to where it says TCO for tactical coaching. Make sure the highest number is at the top. Obviously, depending on what team you are, how high this number is going to be. If you're a small team, you're not going to have people like 19 and 20. Then the next thing I do is go over to attacking and defense and just scroll down. Once I find a really, really good attacking and defense, I look over if it's ahead of youth development. I click on them. As you can see, regen staff, they're absolutely insane. And then generally most of the time they want to be coaches. This guy I'm actually going to make as an assistant manager because he's absolutely insane. So yes, there we go. Happy. Once again, scroll down. 16 and 16 for attacking and defense. He's head of youth development. Antonio Carrozo, another one. Obviously, if you don't want to use the regen staff in Football Manager, that's perfectly fine. Play the game however you want. Don't let anybody tell you how to play the game. It's your game. Do what the fuck you want. But look, I'm here to win. And for me to win, I want the best of the best coaching, and that's just it. And then, like I said, you just scroll down. As you can see, there's more head of youth development, head of youth development, head of youth development. If you're a decent club, there'll be a ton of staff in here. Obviously, when it comes to the goalkeeping coaches and the fitness coaches and the set piece coaches, all that's a breeze. You just click on it and all the staffs are. But that's a wee trick that I use to get a good assistant manager and good coaches. So I'm going to go update all the staff. And then, obviously, like I said, we're going to need to do a few transfers. The good thing with us playing in the Premiership, we should be able to sell a decent amount of our squad for some cash because there are a lot of them's worth a lot of money. Obviously, we have a lot of really, really good young players out on loan, so I have to look at that as well because obviously do I need to go and buy an our striker? I don't know because we have Evan Ferguson coming back next year, but then we also need to replace Danny Welbeck, so it's something we kind of need to look at. So I'm going to go do a little dabble in the transfer market, upgrade our staff, and yeah, we'll be back in a minute. So with regards to transfers, look, I think we've done pretty well. We've sold a lot of players for really, really good money. Obviously, one of the ones we kind of guessed was going to go. Look, when the Saudi League comes knocking, Big Paul Van Heck, he ended up going to the Saudi League. But we got I would say good money for him. 37 million up front, working its way up to 50 million, which I think is a really, really good deal. Every time I play a Football Manager save, he always ends up at the Saudi League, so Brighton always ends up selling him. Look, I would have liked to keep him, but he wanted to go. I don't blame him. He's on £725,000 a week. But like I said, we got good money. 50 million. Then another one went out the door was Matoma once again. The Saudi League came in and offered for him. Like, I don't blame them for going. The dude's on £1.1 million a week. So we got 40 million for him, working its way up to 55 million. So between him and Heckle, that's what, 105 million. And I was also able to get rid of Lamptey. Didn't really get a lot of money for him. Look, I'm not going to lie, wasn't worth a lot. Look, he's one. Look at what I was happy enough to keep around the squad, but I think he's very one-dimensional. His mental stats aren't great. He can't really overly pass the ball. He's very, very injury prone. And look, he wanted to go to Juventus. We got 11.2 million for him, which I know, like I said, isn't a crazy amount of money. But we just made, like, what, 105 million with his money on top of that. Then the 69 million we had about 170 million to spend. The first person out the door, obviously, was our centre-back, so we were going to need to replace him with another centre back, and Sila is one that I just think fits the Premiership so well. The main thing is his physical stats are absolutely insane. He's only 21. We had to pay a total of 18 million, working its way up to 24 million, which I'm pretty happy with. It's half of the money that we got for Van Heckel. But like you said, look at his physical stats: 14, 14, 15, 15, 15, 15, 14, 15. These all end up as like 16 and above. He's an absolute fucking unit. He's left-footed. He's getting 19 leadership, so like future captain. And like I said, he's just going to keep getting better and better and better. 6'2", really physical. Gonna take a wee bit of time to progress. We may leak a few goals here and there. The only thing I would recommend if he ever gets Sila, he's only got composure of 10 and decision making of 10. So I've went into his development. If you work on his final third, his composure goes up and his decisions goes up. His concentration naturally goes up a wee bit with time. So like his mental stats end up looking a lot better. He is a very, very good centre back. Obviously, he's worth a wee bit of cash, but if you're looking at a solid centre back that does ruin people, I did then also go out and get Samson Beidou because obviously we're gonna need squad depth. He's another one, 6'2", can play with both feet. A wee bit more of like a no-nonsense centre back, but look, it's okay to have a few of those. Not every centre back you're going to bring in is just going to be this elite ball-playing defender. You can work towards that over time because he does have a lot of room to improve. We had to pay a total of 15 million for him, working his way up to 17.2. I don't mind. He's a very, very good centre back. He can also play with both feet, which means he can play on the left, he can play on the right, he can also play defensive midfield, which is going to help with a wee bit of versatility. Then another one I brought in, this is going to be one obviously for the future, is going to be young Skyvink, because in this database, he's absolutely disgusting. I know you can go and get him on a free, but everybody ends up going for him. When he goes out on a free on January for an approach to sign like Man United, PSG, Juventus, fucking Real Madrid, everybody goes in for him. I've seen him go to a lot of really, really big clubs. So I swooped in the summer, paid a total 8.5 million, which I think is a really, really good future investment. He's got a good mentality, he's consistent. Little shorter at 5'8", but he's going to be one of those ones that kind of plays like on the wings for us, and he's only 18 years old. Obviously, I would like to loan him out or keep him in the under 23s for a couple of seasons. Ideally, if I could get him loaned out, would be great. As you can see, I'm working on his development, I'm working on his shooting. His finishing is only 10, and his long shots, I'm not really too worried about that. Technique is pretty solid, but it's more for the finishing. I would like his finishing to get up to like 14 or 15. Look, if he's going to play as like an inside forward or like a winger or something for us, or even a striker down the line, I would like him to have a wee bit better finishing. Another one I brought in is Luke Thomas. This is more going to be for squad depth. Obviously, look, our left backs are not fantastic. The one that's going to be playing for us as our starter is absolutely fantastic. But Luke Thomas came in. Look, he was a little upset. He's spaghetti. He wanted to move to a bigger team, so we got him for total of 15 million. He's happy to play, as you can see, as a fringe player / squad player, so he's going to be the backup on the left hand side. Obviously, we still need to keep up with registration, so we have to have English players in the team. And I went and got Karim Kanate. This is going to be our new winger. Look, the kid's disgusting, and I wanted to get him before somebody else got him, and you end up having to pay a crazy amount of money for him. Look, he's very, very explosive. Play with both feet. He's got an amazing mentality. He's only 20 years old. Paid a total of 17.5 up front, working its way up to 25 million. Look, you end up being able to sell this dude for like 60, 70, 80 million down the line. Look, I would ideally, of course, like to keep him, but this is one, look, if we pay like 20 odd million for him and then down the line triple our money, it's a really, really good investment. But he's our new winger, and I think he fits the Premiership well because he's explosive. He's actually really, really strong. He ends up at like 15 or 16 strength. He's just an absolute unit. Like I said, we were gonna need a defensive midfielder, so I went and got Morten Higelman. This is one, surprisingly, in this database, he's not really that expensive for a dude that's, I know, like the same as like Emmanuel Ugarte. Look, are they really like disgustingly silky on the ball? No, but they do an amazing job. I would say Hugelman's a wee bit more sort of well-rounded what Emmanuel Ugarte would be. Look, he paid a total of 17.5 million up front, working his way up to 25 million. If you look this way, look, his first touch is fantastic, but he can also dribble. Look, is it elite dribbling? No, it's not 16 or 17. He's going to play as a defensive midfielder. I don't need to be insane. He's got 14 passing, 14 vision, 14 technique, 16 tackling. His mental stats are disgusting. He works hard. Physically, very, very good. Also got good natural fitness, good stamina. He's 6'1". He enjoys the big games. He's super consistent, and he's got a good mentality, which is absolutely fantastic. He's just the perfect fit, and he's only 25. And to play as our advanced forward, like I said, obviously down the line, this is going to be what our two strikers going to be. It's going to be Van Bommel, and it's going to be Evan Ferguson. Like I said, Danny Welbeck. Look, he's getting a little older. He's massively injury prone, and we are going to need squad depth. And also Evan Ferguson's out on loan for the season, so I want to bring him in. 6'4". You know my love for big physical strikers in FM. I don't know what it is. I just love them. All right. He's got a good mentality, super consistent. He's only 19, 6'4". I am working on his heading because he's already got 16 jumping rates to 6'4" with 12 heading. So if I can get his heading up a little bit. Also, when you work on his heading, it also works on his bravery. His bravery is only 9, so it's going to help as well. We did have to pay a wee bit of cash, 20 million, working its way up to 30 million. Look, we're a Premiership team. We can afford it. He's not currently playing at a Premiership level, but he has the potential to be very, very good. And like I said, he's a big physical unit. Then the last one I brought in is going to be Tino Livramento. This is more, look, we have Hingelwood, I think that's how you pronounce his name. We're going to need squad depth. So I brought Tino Livramento in. One, he's English. Helps with registration. He also has a buy clause of 32 million, so I just went and fucking activated it straight away because PSG were after him. They were sort of skittering around the sort of 26 to 28 million. I just activated his release because we have the cash and I don't want to fuck around and end up losing him. He can play with both feet. He's 21. He's English, good mentality, super consistent. He can play on both sides, which is really, really going to help with versatility. And he's good all round, and if you play him, Tino Livramento ends up amazing. It's just Newcastle don't really seem to play him, and then he just sits there for a couple of years. So we're going to bring him in, play him. He's going to be our new starting right back, and then Hingelwood will be his backup, and then it means we've got 2 left backs, 2 right backs, and a wee bit of squad depth. So going into the first season, this is what the team is obviously going to look like. For Bergen, Estefan, Cilia, Beidou, this obviously will interchange depending on who this is the manager. I may lock one of these two in. I'll probably lock Sila in because I want him to develop. Tino Livramento, Kanate as our winger on the right hand side, Higelmand, Baliba, João Pedro well back, and Van Bommel. Honestly, this is a disgustingly good team. Like, this really is a really good team. The thing is, if we can keep them fit and get them developing, like, we have a lot of potential. Honestly, if we're looking at the Premiership, I know they wanted us, where did they actually want us to finish? I think it was 10th in the Premiership. So that means we would be in and around here where Ipswich is right now. Honestly, I would be trying to push European football. I honestly believe we could push European football with this team. Obviously, they need to play, and the young players need to step up, and the experienced players need to show them how to get it done. But I would say, if we finish 7-9, I'd be happy with 7-9. I think in the first season, 7-9 is really, really good. But this is what the team that I want to put out. The assistant manager, I know what the assistant manager is going to do already before I even click him to show me. He's going to end up playing, where the fuck is he? Dunk, because Dunk's experience is going to be like Dunk and like fucking Webster or something, just because they're experienced players. He's not going to play Pedro. Pedro will probably go up here somewhere. Van Bommel will get dropped to the bench. Baliba, I don't even think Baliba will start. It'll end up being, where's that our guy plays defensive midfield? It'll be Vifer or something like that, or Vietman. It'll be one of the two of them. We see. Right, so go to pick without restrictions, best 11. Yeah, he plays fucking Milner in the middle of the park. March out the right. Abidan, Espadin, Dunk. I knew Dunk and Veltman was going to play. Tino actually starts, so I'm happy with that. João Pedro, well back, so it means we're going to need to lock a few players in. And this is going to be the ones we're going to have to lock in. For Bergen, surprisingly doesn't go in, but we do have another good keeper, but I want for Bergen to be our keeper. Silla, I could lock in either Bader or something, but I don't want to lock in too many defenders and too many players. I don't want to burn the team out. Obviously, when I come back in January, if I see Samson Bader's not getting any football, I'll either loan him out or I'll try and get rid of some of our other our aging centre backs, so then he has a wee bit more chance of playing. Obviously, Baliba, Milner, he's just putting them in because of his experience and like how many caps and stuff. I don't know what way it works. Baliba's going to start. João Pedro, I was going to play it on the right hand side, but Pedro has, obviously he's going to be an inverted winger. Passing is way better, his vision is way better, his work rate is way better, so I'm going to play him, because obviously he's going to be dropping into here, so I need him to be able to pass the ball, so I'm going to play him on that side. And Kanate doesn't have amazing passing, but he's more explosive. He's going to play as the winger. Obviously Van Bommel up top, because Welbeck will play, like the assistant manager will just play him there. So this is going to be what the team looks like for season 1. I'm actually really excited to see how this team goes. Obviously, if there's anybody good in January, I can bring his back for an approach sign. I'm hoping we can get a good youth intake through one of these fucking rebuilds. Every time I do a rebuild, I very rarely get a good youth player. But obviously we need to work on our youth recruitment because it's not fantastic. It's like 2.5 star. So boys, that's enough messed about. Let's go play season 1. So boys, we're at the end of season 1. Obviously, if we're here, the youth intake was not great. It was 2 star out of 5. Look, this will go up with time, hopefully. We may know. But look, going into this season, look, obviously we brought in some really, really good young players. It depends how well they all gel together, how well the team's going to play. Obviously, European football was my goal. Finishing 7-9, I think, is realistic for a Brighton team. But European football would be nice. So let's jump over, see how we did in the league. So things in the Premiership did not start off fantastic. We ended up getting slapped 3-1 by Arsenal. We then had a fantastic 4-1 win over Chelsea though. We somehow managed to beat Man City. Big Danny Welbeck scored in the 94th minute to give us the win. We also had a fantastic 1-1 draw at Anfield with Liverpool. I think this is a really good result for us. So yeah, after all those results, yeah, we finished 3rd. I don't know how. Look, I ain't gonna say nothing. I'm very, very happy with this. I was happy, like, honestly, if I'm being realistic, I said to use like 7-9 would be realistic. I wanted to get in this sort of like 5-7. I felt like our team was good enough to at least get into that 6 and 7 and just take those sort of European spaces. But like getting up into 3rd, I was not expecting this. When it popped up, I was like, there's no fucking way we've got into the Champions League. But honestly, our team is good enough. Like I said, it just depends how well all the players gel together. So we played 38 games, 21 wins, 10 draws is still a lot, but look, I'm not going to complain. And then we had 7 losses, 44 goal difference. I would like to see this go up and down. Either we didn't score a ton of goals, or we may have just conceded too many. But the Premiership is a hard league. Look, you're going to concede goals. And then we finished on 73 points. Obviously, we're still a good bit off Man City, but like, it's fucking Man City. Then as you can see, Erling Haaland, the human cyborg. I still have not had a save where I get to play with Erling Haaland. Obviously, a Man City save, I mean, it's a little too easy. But we did a Real Madrid save, but there was a few stipulations with that. But then Isaac, another one, absolutely fantastic. Van Bommel is in there in third place. He's only 2 behind Isaac and 9 behind Erling Haaland, considering this kid is nowhere near his potential yet. Had a very, very, very good season. Really proud of him. And in the average ratings, Van Bommel is also in there. Rashford, obviously, at Villa. Van Bommel is also in there for assists. He's our striker. So I don't know if this is a good or a bad thing, because then it means our midfielders and our wing backs didn't really get a lot of assists, but look, we'll look at all that when the player wins. Big Purvis Esteputian, I don't know how the fuck to pronounce his name, basically our left back, he ended up getting the most yellow cards with 12. Clean sheets were not in there, player of the matches were not in there. But honestly, I don't care, we just had a really, really good season. Most points per game, look, we're in third. I'm very, very happy with this. Most goals, so we scored 95 goals, which means we probably conceded a few too many goals, and that is something we can rectify though. We scored 95 goals, which is wild. Most shots for, we had 70 shots more than any other team. Few shots against were not in here, which means our defense was a little leaky. Most clean sheets were not in the top 8. Few conceded were not in the top 8, so that is not fantastic, which means, but the good thing is we know what's wrong and we can fix it. But boys, that's the Premiership out of the way. Look, finishing third and getting Champions League football is a absolute banger of a season, but we also have 2 cups, the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup, so let's go see how we did in the FA Cup first. It wasn't great, boys. We get knocked out in the 3rd round by fucking Sunderland, dude. Sunderland in the 3rd round. This is one I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm not overly happy with. I feel like we should at least be getting past this. Obviously, when you get into like the 4th round and start pushing into the quarterfinals, it's gonna be difficult. You're gonna get Premiership teams, but like this is a game we should be winning. So that then moves us over to the Carabao Cup, where we started things off in the 2nd round against Coventry. We smashed them 4-0. In the 3rd round, we faced off against Watford. We beat them 3-0. Then we were massively unlucky. We got Man City in the 4th round. It went to penalties. It was 3 each over obviously normal time and extra time, and then it went to penalties. They beat us 8-7 on penalties. So look, I'm going to take this as a massive positive. Look, going up against Man City and pushing them the whole way. Obviously, I would like to get a little further in the cup, but look, we can't complain. We get Champions League football, FA Cup, we're not going to talk about that, it never happened. And then got the 4th round and pushed City the whole way. Then with regards to player performances, our big keeper, I keep going to call him Bert, I'm not going to lie, Bart for Brighton, he played 41 games, 54 conceded, but it is the Premiership. It's 13 clean sheets. And the good thing is he is progressing. As you can see, there's a bunch of green arrows going up, so that's a good thing as well. And then our left back, Purvis, played 39 games, 6 goals, 12 assists. Livermento on the other side, honestly, I'm not gonna lie to you, he didn't have a great season, boys. Played 30, 0 goals and only 3 assists. Look, I know it's his first season, but like I would expect a player of his caliber who has that many like 13s and 14s and 15s as a stats to just play a lot better. Then the big man Silla as our centre back, obviously I locked him in for the season. 38 games played, 10 goals, 1 assist. Samson Beidou unfortunately didn't get as many games, so it means next season I'm probably more likely gonna lock him into the centre back role, because he only started 2 games, 3 off the bench, and I want him to play more games. He's only upset because one of our players wants a new contract. Because for some unknown fucking reason, the assistant manager just loves Lewis Dunk, even though his physicals are absolutely horrendous. His speed is absolutely horrendous. He played 35 games. Don't get me wrong, his mental stats are absolutely insane. I get it. But if you're playing in the Premiership, 10 acceleration, 10 agility, and 10 balance, it's not it. It's probably one of the reasons why we conceded so many goals, because honestly, pace is everything in the Premiership. Then of course, Big Borden Hazelband playing as our defensive midfielder. 38 games played, 2 goals, 6 assists. But once again, I don't expect him to get a ton of assists and goals, because he's there to fucking give peoples a few patterns. And of course, the young man in beside him is the one that we wanted to see how well he would do. Baleba, honestly, don't worry, he's just upset he's spaghetti because he wants a new contract. I've already offered him that. He played 39 games, 4 goals, 9 assists, obviously playing box to box. But it's his first season, he's only 21. And look, he has the potential to be very, very good. All the green arrows going up is really, really good. Like I said, he's 6 foot. He's good all around. The main thing for us is going to be just trying to hold on to him. Of course, then we do also have the likes of Matt Pfeiffer. I know a few people are going to be like, Mark, why didn't you play him? Honestly, look, he's a good player. He is a good player, but he's a backup player. Because let's look at it this way, right? He plays in the center of the park. Higelmand, a way better player. He's a way better player. And then box to box, he has the stats to be a box to box. But am I going to play him over Baleba? No. So he's going to be a backup. Look, obviously he's put in a transfer request, 28 million. A bunch of people are interested in Atalanta. If we sell him for 28 million, it is what it is. Look, it sucks. I would like to keep him around, but he wants first team football. I can't guarantee him that, because I'm not taking either Higelmand or Baleba out of the middle of the park. Little Jack Hinzelwood. This is one, honestly, I'm probably going to loan out next year. I think I feel like I'm going to loan out. Or if we get rid of our left back, because there is a bunch of people interested in him, it's mostly the Saudi League, I'll probably move Tino Livramento over to the other side and then put him in at right back. I'll just have to wait and see. But then that makes our team a little bit weaker. So ideally, I would like to loan him out for a couple of seasons, get him a wee bit of first team football and get him progressed. Because like he only started one game, 5 off the bench, and it is going to hinder his performance, or not his performance, his overall development if I just don't play him. So I would like to loan him out. And of course, on the left-hand side, João Pedro, 37 games played, 16 goals and 6 assists. So a good season for him. And also, he's starting to progress a little bit. Then on the other side, young Karim Konate, 37 games played, 7 goals, 9 assists. Would like to see a wee bit more development. I would like to see a wee bit more from him. But look, look, first season, don't worry, he's just upset his spaghetti because of Baliba's contract. But look, he has the ability to be able... The only thing I may work on because he's playing on a winger is I may work on his crossing. That's the only thing I may work on. If we can get this up to like 13, 14 in and around there, it's perfectly fine because everything else in his game is really, really good. And I think having a wee bit of crossing might help him out. Also on top of that, like I said, Luke Thomas was here to be a fill-in at left back. Yeah, he got 0 games, which is a little strange because I would have expected him to play a wee bit more football. But also this year, you also have to remember we're going to be in the Champions League. So I'm hoping he takes away his transfer request and then he'll hopefully get a wee bit more football. But just our left back just played like every game. If he leaves, then we also have to remember we do have Valentino Barco coming back, which he's not bad. Physicals do need a little bit of work. Look, at the only thing you're really going to probably have to work on with him is maybe a little bit of stamina. He is going to need some strength. Playing in the Premiership, 6 strength, you're going to get bullied. But apart from that, technically and mentally, the kid's absolutely rock solid. So look, if we get rid of our left back and we just play Barco as our new left back, I think this will give us a wee bit more va-va-voom on the left-hand side. And of course, big Danny Welbeck did 33 games, 18 goals and 6 assists. Look, for a dude who's going to be turning 35. As you can see, obviously all the stats are starting to go down. This is the thing I don't get in Football Manager. If someone has really sort of like high natural fitness, I feel like their stats should stay around for a lot longer. They really, really should. And Danny Welbeck obviously looks after himself. So like I feel like he could play for a long period of time at a high level. But look, it's Football Manager, not real life. Then the young man that was actually very, very interested to see how well he did, Van Bommel, 41 games played this year, 21 goals and 17 assists and a fucking 7.2 for the season. Honestly, absolutely perfect striker, exactly what I want. And like I said, next season, Danny Welbeck's probably going to look to sort of like move on a little bit or be like a backup because I really want Van Bommel and Evan Ferguson to be our 2 strikers. They're big, strong, physical. They're both fast. They work hard. And yeah, I think they can be a little... And then obviously, like I said, Evan Ferguson was out on loan at West Ham. He only started 5 games, which is absolutely stupid. I don't get it. There is a few things I probably would like to work on with Evan Ferguson. We're going to need to work on his agility. Dribbling isn't too bad. We don't really need to worry about it too much. But like 15 acceleration, 14... I don't understand how this is a thing. How you can have 15 acceleration, 16 pace, 14 balance and 9 agility. Like, it just doesn't make sense. If you've got good balance, you're gonna be reasonably agile, and if you're that quick, it just, I don't know, I don't get it. This is something I'm gonna work on with him next year. But this team, I honestly am very, very happy. I think we've built an absolutely fantastic team. Like I said, obviously Danny Welbeck, I'm gonna probably more than likely replace him with him, and then Esteban is more likely going to end up at the Saudi League or somebody because they keep offering for him. I come back in January, they were trying to get him. I was like, I'm not selling my left back in January because I couldn't bring Barco back from his loan. And then obviously I don't want to sell in January because then if you try and replace him, you get your pants pulled down for the price. But honestly, this is probably what the team is going to look like next year. For Bergen, Barco, Sila, Beidou, Tino Livramento, same midfield, and then obviously Ferguson will just come in for Welbeck, and then these 2 up top I think will be absolutely disgusting. We also got a total of 52 million, so if there's anywhere we do need, I feel like we can replace somebody, obviously if anybody comes up on like the transfer list that I'm interested in, or we can get them relatively cheap, I think we just need a wee bit better sort of like squad depth. But we also have to remember we've a lot of players coming back. Like with Sarmanito, we've got Benito. If I fuck up any of these names, you know how bad I am with names, so it's alright. And then we have Young Julio. This is one that could be very, very interesting. I think he has the potential to be very good. Mental stats is probably the only thing that kind of lets him down, but he's worth 65 to 73 million. But is he going to be upset he's spaghetti if he doesn't get a ton of first team football? If he does, look, we can move him on. I don't think we'll get that type of money for him, but we can hope and dream. But boys, that is season 1 over with. We have guaranteed ourselves Champions League football, which is, let's be realistic, we punched above our weight a wee bit this year, but look, I'm going to take it. But let's move over into season 2. So boys, then moving over into season 2. Obviously, there's not that much I want to change with the first team, but a few people went out the door, so it made me sort of have to buy a few players. So the first person out the door was Big Lewis Dunk. This was one I planned on getting rid of. Look, he's fantastic, but just like in the Premiership, because of his physical stats and his speed, it was forcing us to concede a few too many goals. The Premiership's too fast. So we sold him to Juventus for 10 million. Look, Big Dunk, thank you much for your service. The man has been here pretty much his entire career, but now he's away to Juventus for 10 million. So then we did move on young Jeremy Sarmiento. This is one I actually didn't want to get rid of, but he wanted first team football to get into the national setup. I can't guarantee him his place in the first team because we're a little stacked out. So we sold him on to Lazio for a total of 15 million. Look, not bad. We bought him for absolutely fuck all, made a profit of 15 million. We're doing it the Brighton way. And the next one out the door was Simon Adingra, another one I didn't want to get rid of, but unfortunately, once again, he wanted first team football. I couldn't guarantee it. I tried to wrangle and just say, yeah, of course you'll be in the first team. And then somebody came in and offered. So we did sell him to Rennes. Look, we bought him for 6 million, sold him on for 18. Look, he is a very, very good player. I would have liked to keep him as a backup for Karim Konate because he can play on both sides. Obviously, he's a little one-footed, but look, it doesn't matter. It could have been good backup for him, but he didn't want to be a backup. Look, I understand he's 23 years old, wants to play first team football. And look, we made a good profit off him. And the first of our sort of bigger sales was going to be Ferdy. That guy, I'm not going to try and pronounce the second name, the guy with the K. So we sold him on to the Saudi League. Look, they came in and offered 35 million. We bought him for 26.5, sold him on, made a wee bit of profit, like an extra 10 million. I'm very happy with this. Once again, he wanted first team football. I couldn't guarantee it. I actually did want to keep him because he can play on both sides. He's reasonably good with both feet, good mentality, he's consistent, enjoys the big games. But like I said, he wanted first team football. Once again, couldn't guarantee it, so we made 35 million. Then one of the big ones out the door was Igor. This was more just because I have young centre backs in the team that I want to get a wee bit more football. Obviously, Dunk and Igor were going to be ahead of him in the packing order, and I want the young players to start getting a wee bit of football. People like Beidou and stuff as well. So we sold Igor on to, once again, the Saudi League. Thank you very much, the Saudi League. You've been the champions of so many saves in FM24. So once again, look, we bought him for what, 14.5 million, sold him on. They're giving us 37.5 million up front and a total of 50 overall. So look, we made a massive profit on him. Then of course we knew that Purvis was going to go at some point because there was a lot of people after him. This is what I actually didn't expect to go to. I thought it would have been the Saudi League, but Purvis ended up going to Real Madrid. Look, we once again got good money. They give us 53 million up front. I tried to wrangle a little deal, tried to take like less up front and more in installments. They didn't want to. They wanted to just give us all the money up front. Look, we bought him for 15, sold him on for 53. Look, we made an absolute bucket load of cash. I think we made about 170, 180 million this window. So obviously I had to replace some players. So then one of the first ones in the door was young Vasily. Is that how you say his name? I'm not even going to try. Adjik. Look, big man, if you ever see this video, I apologize for butchering your name. I tried my best, all right? This is one. Look, we only paid a total of about 9 million for him. This is one in this database. Apparently, he's very, very good. A load of people told me he's very, very good in this database. Obviously, we're going to need squad depth in the team and stuff. I would like to ideally loan him out for a couple seasons because he is only 19. But this is obviously going to be one for the future because we're going to make a Wonderkid factory at Brighton because it's kind of what they do. And the next one I brought in the door was young Lewis Millie. He was upset. He spaghettied his club. He wanted to leave because I think he wanted a better contract, but we got him for a total of 12.5 million. This is another one. Look, he's very, very gifted. He can play in that Segundo Volante in the middle of the park. He's also English, which helps with registration because we did lose a few English players, so we need to replace him. And he's only 19 years old, and for 12.5 million, he's also fantastic at both feet, got a good mentality, super consistent, and has room to improve. I think this is a good investment for future again. Then we also went and got ourselves a centre back. Like I said, with us losing Igor and Dunk, I know we're only playing technically 2 centre backs, but I would like us to have 4 relatively good young centre backs, and I want them all to get a wee bit of football. So Bastian, look, once again, you know how good this kid is. He's always very, very good in FM, but you need to play him, and that's the thing in FM. Like, Wolves have him and then just don't play him. They end up loaning him out into like shitty teams. He hardly gets any football. Look, we paid a total of 15.5 million. I think it's an absolute steal. Look, when you're banned from Premiership teams, it can get a little bit expensive, but he's left-footed. He's 19, 6'3", physicals are good, mentals are good, and he's very, very good in the air. Look, not a fantastic ball carrier, but he's 12 and 12 for first touch and dribbling, and like I said, he's only 19, and he's got a lot of room to improve. Then our biggest one in the door was Miguel Gutierrez. Obviously, with us losing our left back, I know we have Barco, but yeah, Gutierrez was upset. He spaghettied his club. He wanted to leave, and yeah, there was a lot of teams kind of floating around. We were the only one who went in and activated his £30 million release clause. Look, I looked this way. We sold our left back for what, 53 million. I brought in a young, better left back. It's only 24 years old for like half the price. Look, like I said, Gutierrez, as you know, has a £30 million release clause. If you have 30 million activated, He is absolutely fantastic in FM. So with everybody in the door and everybody out the door, look, we still have a total of what, 166 million still left. This is what the team is going to kind of look like. For Bergen, Gutierrez, Silva, Beidou, these may interchange just depending on who the assistant manager wants to play. Livermento, Kanate, Gilmand, Baliba, João Pedro, Ferguson, and Van Bommel. This team, obviously, look, we finished third last year. It's going to be hard to replicate. I would like to stay in the top 4 teams and guarantee Champions League football, but we just have to see how the team is going to play. But it's also, is this the team the assistant manager is going to play? So he makes 2 changes. He changes Van Bommel to the inverted winger, which, to be honest, is kind of a little strange. But look, I'm just going to switch them background. It means we just have to lock Van Bommel in. I don't need to lock Ferguson in. Konate, I don't need to lock in. Hirschelman, I don't need to lock in. Baliba, João Pedro, I probably will lock in for half a season just to make sure he stays in that position. Tino doesn't need locked in. Verbergen doesn't need locked in. Gutierrez doesn't need locked in. Silla, Vifer, we are currently in the process of selling, so obviously he's not going to play centre back, which means I don't have to lock any of our centre backs in. The less amount of people we have to lock in, the better, because then it means we're not going to burn anybody out. But look, we have 4 good centre backs. I want them to rotate, and like I said, Viper will probably be more likely to leave the club at some point, or I'm going to loan him out. I just want him out of the team because I want our 4 young centre backs to play. But this is good. It means we don't have to lock a ton of people in for the season. But boys, obviously I'll bring you back in January if there's anybody good for approach of science. I say that every update, or every video we do, but I never do. If I remember, if there is anybody good, I might bring you back. We'll see what happens. And then obviously in April, if youth intake is better than 2 stars, I'll bring you back. I'm hoping through one of these we can start spitting out a couple. Look, I want some good young players from a fucking youth intake for one of these videos, okay? Boys, that's enough messed about. Let's go play season 2. So boys, we're at the end of season 2. Obviously, like I said, my goal was to stay in ideally stay in Champions League football, but look, staying in the top 4 is difficult. Any European football is going to be fantastic for us. Like I said, I just want to keep building up every season. Obviously, we have a lot of young players that need to develop, but look, we did fantastic last year. But if we're being realistic, we kind of overperformed a little bit, didn't we? But that's okay. Look, I don't expect every season to be an absolute banger. We built a really, really good team. And all I'm looking for this season is to obviously for us to be a wee bit better defensively. Let's see how we did in the league. So we started things off really well. We actually ended up beating Arsenal 3-2. We then got brought back down to earth by Man United. They smashed us 3-0. Had a really hard fought match against Man City. We ended up drawing with them 3 each. Then in probably our best win of the season, we ended up smashing Bournemouth 7-0. But even with all those fantastic results, we finished just outside of the Champions League. We finished 6th. I was kind of came back at Christmas and I was kind of wondering, we were just a few silly defeats. As you can see, look, we had played 38 games, 20 wins, 9 draws and 9 defeats, which the 9 draws I kind of get, it's a Premiership, but like 9 defeats is a little too much. And then we only had 32 goal difference with 69, and I was like, right, something's went wrong. We ended up getting a lot of injuries. Sila, Beidou, and I think it was our centre Baleba were all injured, and I was like, right, okay, so 2 of our centre backs were missing, but look, we should have the cover for that. But look, this happens. I can't be too mad. Honestly, we finished 6th. I would have liked to stay in Champions League football, but look, it is what it is. Van Bommel ended up doing absolutely fantastic for generally most of the season. He was up at the top goal scorer, and then Erling Haaland just pipped it right at the end of the season. We've nobody in average ratings and assists. This kind of worries me a little bit because I would like to have people performing really, really well. We have 2 people in the yellow cards. Higelman's number 1 and Sila is number 2. I expect them. They're both a little, how do we put this, psychotic. And then we have Van Bommel in there for player of the matches. So if we go over to the team, most points per game was us. We're the whole way down in 6th. Would have liked this to be a little higher, but like, we're not too far behind. We did score the most goals, so once again I feel like defensively we're just kind of leaking too many goals. Most shots for, we're 70 ahead of anybody. Fewest shots against, we're not in there. Most clean sheets, we're not in there. And then fewest conceded, not in there. So once again, defensively is kind of where we're going to need the structure to kind of rebuild next season. Look, we do have a lot of cash. We still have 173 million left, so yeah, I may end up investing a wee bit of money into a really, really good like centre back. I think I think we need someone with a wee bit of experience. That's sort of like 26 to 28-year-old. Because Silla, really, really good, really young. Beidou, really, really good, really, really young. Bastian, really good, really, really young. So like, I feel like we just need like a really good like sort of more older, level-headed like centre back to basically just to carry us through, boys. But look, all in all, I feel like a really, really good season in the league. Would have loved to stay in Champions League football, but look, it is what it is. As long as we stay in European football, I'm pretty happy. Look, you got to look at it this way, right? We're ahead of Man City and Chelsea and Tottenham. I'm going to take as a positive. So let's jump over, see how we did in the cups. So we start things off in the Carabao Cup in the third round. We ended up beating Southampton 3-1. Then moving on to the fourth round, we played Fulham with a very, very hard game for us. We ended up beating them 5-4. But like I said, once again, this is, I think, where we need to step things up a wee bit defensively just by bringing a better centre back in. That then took us to the quarterfinals. We faced off against Rotherham. Fair play to them, getting the whole way to the quarterfinals. But we ended up beating them 2-0, which took us to the semis. We're in the first leg when we were at home. We drew with Liverpool 2 each. But in the second leg, things did not go our way. We ended up getting smashed 3-0, but look, all in all, we did very, very well. We got the semi-finals. Look, I would have liked to put up a wee bit of a better fight instead of getting beat 3-0 after a really, really good performance in the first leg and then getting smashed 3-0. But look, Liverpool, we have to be realistic. They've got a superior team to us, and that's okay, but 3-0 kind of hurt a little bit. So let's move on to the FA Cup, where we kick things off in the third round against Notts County. We end up smashing them 4-1. In the fourth round, we got Carlisle, beat them 3-0. In the fifth round, we faced off against Leicester. We beat them 3-0. Then that took us to the quarterfinals. We faced off against Sheffield Wednesday. Once again, they did very, very well to get there, but we smashed them 5-0, which then took us to the semi-finals against Arsenal. We ended up beating them 2-0. So boys, we're in our first FA Cup final, where we faced off against, of course, Man City. Erling Haaland started off the scoring. And unfortunately, that was the only goal of the game. They ended up beating us 1-0. But once again, look, a very, very good performance. When you get to a final and you face off against Man City and they've got the human cyborg, look, they're going to have a really, really good team and they're very strong. They also bought Dejan Kulevetsky, which is kind of insane because, yeah, they also have Victor Osimhen. So look, for us to put in a good performance against Man City and the only to beat us 1-0, look, I'm frustrated that we got to the final, but look, I'm pretty happy with the boys. So boys, then moving over into the Champions League phase, we started things off against Sparta Prague. We beat them 2-1. We then got beat 1-0 by Celtic. This is a game I feel like we should be winning. Then we drew 2-2 against Liverpool. This is a good result. Then unfortunately, we got beat 3-2 by AC Milan. We then unfortunately drew with Red Star Belgrade. As you can see, João Pedro missed a penalty, so this could have been 3 points instead of 1, which is, once again, we should be winning this. There's no excuses. We then got beat 2-1 by Roma. Then in our final league phase match, we ended up drawing 1 each with Atletico Madrid. As you can see, João Pedro missed another penalty. So once again, this could have been another 3 points. Because in the league phase, we just did not do well. We're just our inconsistencies. Like I said, the Red Star Belgrade game, the Atletico Madrid game, and then the other games. There's 3 games there we should have won. So we would have technically had another, say 6 points, which would have taken us from 9 the whole way up into 14, which was pretty much up into the knockouts. So look, I'm actually really upset about this. I feel like we should be playing a lot better in this, but once again, defensively, we fucked ourselves a little bit. So then with regards to player performances, big Bart Verbruggen, 46 games played, we conceded 81 goals, which honestly, like I said, is unacceptable. Like we're conceding way too many goals. We need to get, I think, one really, really good centre back. Because obviously, look, left back we've got Miguel Gutierrez, right back we've Tino Livramento, centre back Sila is our best defender, who's absolutely fantastic. I think we just need, like I said, one just absolute unit of a player beside him. He did also have 14 clean sheets. He's also starting to look very, very good. And like I said, Sila is one that I do actually want to play. He is also now our captain. As you can see, he has 20 leadership, so like he's perfect for captain material. Played 44 games, 2 goals, 2 assists. Would like to see him improve a little bit, but like I feel like this is kind of him at his max, and I'm on the fence here. I'm like, if this is him at his max and he's not going to improve, is he good enough to take us to Champions League football every year? And then obviously, like I said, the young man in beside him, Samson Bedu, played 50 games, scored 3 goals, and once again, I feel like he's a really, really good squad player. I feel like our 2 centre backs is kind of where we need to look to strengthen. I'd be happy if I bring one really, really good solid centre back in. I'd be happy if we had that solid centre back and then Bedu or Sila in beside him. I'd be happy enough for that, but look, I think that's where we need to improve. Young Bastien also got a decent amount of football. He had 13 games started, 13 off the bench. He's one of those ones, do I start him in beside somebody? Because he's only a 2-star, has anywhere, if he got the 4-star twice, he's obviously not going to get twice as good as this, but like a vast improvement on this. Maybe he's the one that steps in and plays beside our new centre back. And then, of course, young Miguel Gutierrez, 47 games played, 4 goals, 12 assists. Tino Livramento, 42 games, 3 goals, 9 assists. Would still like this to come up a little bit. Big Higelman played 35 games. Once again, he's one of the ones that got a wee bit of an injury. 3 goals, 8 assists. I also just noticed that he's wanted by the Saudi League and Real Madrid. So, boys, I don't know if he's going to be here next year. Then, of course, the man in beside him who looks absolutely fantastic, by the way, Baleba, 51 games started, 9 goals, 13 assists. Also, young Valentino Barco started 17 games, 34 off the bench, 5 goals, 6 assists. Then moving into the more attacking boys, young João Pedro, who have been actually very, very happy with. Who wants him? West Ham, you're not getting him. 54 games started, 16 goals and 10 assists. Then, of course, young Kareem Konate, who I wanted to get a wee bit more out of. Like I said, we've been working on his crossing. I think it went up from like, what was it, 8 or 9? So it's up to 11. So his crossing has went up a bit. The rest of his game is fantastic. Really want to keep him, just want him to get a wee bit more involved. He's also worth 92 to 102 million. 44 games started, 10 goals, 11 assists. Then we did bring young Lewis Millie in. He started 1 game, 5 off the bench. This is one probably moving in the next season. I'll probably look to loan out. Then young Facundo actually wants to leave the club because he wants to get guaranteed first team football. This is the hard part about having a lot of really, really young, talented players in your team. Look, I understand they want to get first team football and get into that. That's actually what he wants. As you can see, look, Ass wants to leave to get into the national setup, which is understandable. It's Argentina. Look, he played 19 games, 29 off the bench, 7 goals and 11 assists. Look, for a 21-year-old, getting 19 starts and 29 off the bench is a really, really good. He's fucking staying. Unless somebody offers me about 85 to 90 million, he's going nowhere. So one player I did bring in January, I actually forgot to show you this because I got the memory of a goldfish, was young Naipan. Had him on my short list. A bunch of teams were kind of interested in him. I just swooped in. Look, I went in, a bunch of teams offered 7 million. I went in and offered a total of 12 million. Just went in and got him straight away. For 12 million, you get a ridiculously good player that's very strong on both feet, which is hard to find. You know that. 13 games started, 5 off the bench, 1 goal, 3 assists. Another one I would maybe look to loan out for a season, but I want to loan him out to a good team with good training facilities or keep him at the club. Then young Julio Asiso, one that's happy enough to stay here and play, even though we didn't get a ton of football. 0 starts, 3 off the bench. Another one I think we kind of need to loan out again. But then, knowing my luck, I'll loan him out. Touch wood, we don't get an injury, and then he's off on loan. So I'm started putting into all my loan deals that they can be recalled, just in case we get injuries. But he's one I think probably needs some first team football. Then young Skyvink I did bring up under the first team because obviously we had a few injuries and stuff, but he only got 0 games, 4 off the bench. I did try to loan him out. There was a loan deal agreed. I went on holiday and then apparently it got cancelled, so I thought he was already loaned out and then he wasn't. So yeah, probably need to rectify that next year. But he's one, once again, I do want to loan out, but because he has a ton of potential in this database. As you can see, he's at a 1.5 stars. If he gets the 4-star, you've got an absolute ball in your hands. I've seen in this database he gets very, very good, but once again, he's going to need first team football. So once again, another one that probably needs loaned out. Then of course, starting off with the 2 big boys up top, because they are both massive, like 6'2" and 6'4". Granted, is 6'2" big in football? I feel like 6'2" is in and around like a normal height for footballers. I feel like Evan Ferguson is also a lot bigger in real life. Apparently in real life he's actually going to be going on loan to Roma, which is actually a good move for him. I think Italian football being a wee bit slower, and with his physicality and stuff and how quick he is, I think it could be a really, really good loan spell. I don't know if there's like an option to buy or not. If I was them, I would definitely buy him. 51 games started, 18 goals, 8 assists. Then the other big fella up top, 56 games started, 35 goals, 13 assists, and a 7.4 for the season. And like I said, honestly, I think we've built an absolutely fantastic team. And like I said, goals is not our problem. I feel like this is our problem right now. And like, that's crazy to say, but this is the thing. Look, I have Beidou and Silla. Sometimes Silla is absolutely amazing in some saves, and sometimes he's not. Unfortunately, we've got the one where he's kind of okay, because Silla is usually fucking fantastic and his physical stats are usually absolutely insane. Unfortunately, we've got the lesser version, but that's okay. Our only issue is with replacing him is he's our captain, because we just didn't have really any other options. So I'm gonna have to bring in somebody older, got a decent amount of experience, has some leadership skills that can lead the team, but we also have a couple of other people who can lead the team as well, so I'm okay with that. But the only thing is, like I said, it's unfortunate that we have to replace some centre backs, because I kind of felt like Beidou and Silla was going to be the future of our team, but unfortunately, just it is what it is with Football Manager. Sometimes their potential, they don't always get there. But boys, all in all, look, a very, very good team. Like I said, we still have 176 million left over. I'm gonna spend a wee bit of that before we get our initial transfer budget here, because there's no way they're giving us that amount of money back. We'll probably get about 60 or 70 million. So I'm going to go have a wee look around. I feel like I said, we're going to need some centre backs. But boys, all in all, look, we guaranteed European football. We made it to one cup final. And unfortunately, the Champions League, we were kind of poor in. But all in all, boys, look, we move on to next season. Let's jump into season 3. So then moving over into season 3, there was a few things I wanted to change, but also a lot of really big offers come in for our players. And obviously, we're playing as Brighton. That's what they do. They bring players in reasonably cheap and then sell them on for like ridiculous money. So I've tried to stay with that theme because we did end up losing Robin van Bommel. Obviously not really what I wanted to lose, but like the money involved, it was between Valencia and West Ham. They both offered the same money, so then I just let him choose where he wanted to go. Yeah, they give us 55 million up front, working its way up to 90 million. We paid a 30 for him, and yeah, so we're making £60 million profit. I thought this was just a ridiculous offer. Look, he's at his potential. He is very, very good, do not get me wrong, but like 90 million is just like a ridiculous amount of money we couldn't turn down. Oh, but don't worry, it doesn't stop there. Valencia also decided to buy our keeper for Bergen. Yeah, for 45 million up from, working its way up to 65 million. I don't know where Valencia is getting all their money from, but like, hey, I'm not going to complain. Are they now the new Saudi club? But look, in between like a couple of players, we've made like what, like £150 million in profit already in this window. But on top of that, the Saudi League also come in and offered for João Pedro. This was one I honestly didn't want to sell. They give us 42 million up from, working its way up to 55 million. I didn't want to sell him, but they come in, offered. I said no, he got upset, and then we end up selling him. Look, the man's on £800,000 a week. It's just he's 24, he works hard, he's a good player, and I didn't want to sell him. He's got a good mentality, consistent, enjoys the big matches, but you know what I mean, at least we got good money for him. Oh, but don't worry, it doesn't stop there. The Saudi League also come in and stole Morten Hijlmand. We knew this was going to happen. Real Madrid actually didn't come in and offer. But yeah, he had a release clause of 42 million, so they ended up just activating that. So yeah, we've been about 200 million in this window. And then the last person we sold was Osman. Look, I would have liked to get a wee bit more money for him, but look, I wasn't going to be stingy with us making already so much money. He wanted to leave, get first team football. Look, we paid 16 million for him, ended up selling him for 7, we ended a wee bit of a profit loss, but look, we've already made like £200 million this window, and then obviously with everybody leaving, we're gonna need to replace those players. So the person I brought in to play centre back for us was Giorgio Scalvini. I'm not gonna lie to you, I went like 15 to 28 centre backs that were interested in signing for us. Not a lot of options in there, boys. I'm not going to lie. It was between him and Ousmane Diomande, and Diomande ended up going to Man United. I just put in for both of them. They were both in and around the same price. I just put in for both of them, and Scalvini was the one that wanted to come to us. Diomande ended up going to Man United. So we got him for a total of 65 million, which, look, I know it's a wee bit of cash, but this is going to be one of those ones. He's going to be around for the rest of this save. You have him for the next like 10 years, and he's a ridiculously good centre back. 6'4", big physical guy, played a lot of football, an amazing mentality, enjoys the big games, super consistent, and like he's just a big unit of a fella, exactly what we want. Then obviously we're going to need to replace the keeper situation. Look, obviously I would have liked to got a keeper with a bit of better distribution, but one of my favourite keepers in the game, and he's massively underrated, is Marco Carnesci. Look, amazing mentality in dark green, enjoys the big games, dark green, consistent, enjoys the big games, dark green, 6'3". Look, stopping, shot stopping, and aerial are both absolutely fantastic. Little one-footed, but look, we're not going to worry about it too much. The amount of fucking goals this guy will stop you conceding is absolutely insane, and we got him dirt cheap, 5 million, which is absolutely wild. If you're looking at keeper and you don't really care about massive distribution, Carnesci is amazing in this game. I highly recommend him. Then obviously we were going to need to replace João Pedro, so what I'm going to do is move Napan over to the left hand side, very technical, a lot quicker, and I got Ruben Neves in to play in the centre of the park beside Baliba. Yeah, we got him for nothing, which is absolutely wild. And his contract, 250,000, a little strong, but we didn't have to pay a transfer fee, so that works out in our favour. He's also got a lot of experience, so him and Baliba in the middle of the park will be fucking fantastic together. On top of that, we still have 241 million left. I feel like this is the way Brighton do business, right? They just bring in all these sort of young people, bring them in on the free, and then just sell them for like ridiculous cash. And like I said, with 240 million, so at some point, if I would come back in January, I feel like there's a couple of things that we need to change about the team. Then it means we've got the cash sitting there to do it. So that means moving over into season 3, this is probably more likely what the team's going to look like. Carnesci, Gutierrez, I want to play Bastian in beside Scalvini, and then Tino Livramento. Konate, Baliba, I'm going to move into the centre midfielder on defence. He's a lot more defensively sound. He's also very well-rounded, which is going to help out. Neves, obviously, got the good stamina, good work rate, but he's good all-round as well. But he's a little bit older, and just I don't feel like Neves is good defensively, so I'm going to put Baliba in there. And like I said, I'm putting Napan out on the left-hand side. Ferguson, I'm actually going to give Vink a go this season. Look, I know, look, Is he amazing? No, but he has the potential to be unreal, and the only way he's going to get any better is if we play him. So Ferguson will stay in the pressing forward. He's a lot quicker, and he'll stay in here as the advance forward. I would say probably by the time we hit January, he'll be Premiership level already. Look, this is the team I think we've done very, very well. And like I said, if we need to replace anybody, or maybe I feel like we need maybe another good centre back, I can do that in January because we have a ton of cash. But all in all, boys, I'm very, very happy where the team's sitting right now. I think we've built, once again, a really, really good team. I think we've beefed up the defence a lot as well, which is going to help us. Scalvini, look, even if he stops like an extra 10 or 15 goals going in per season, look, we've absolutely, that's exactly what we need, because we're scoring goals. Like, we were not the highest goal scoring team in the Premiership. We just conceded way too many goals. Boys, obviously, if there's anybody good in January, I'll bring his back for then, and I'm hoping, look, I don't even know why I say this. If there's a good youth intake, I'll bring his back in April. Hopefully there is. We do have one guy in the under 18s who might actually be pretty good. It's this guy, Pierce Barefoot. I don't know when he came through. I think it was the first youth intake, and he didn't really look that good, but he seems to have, progressed a little bit. He's also got a really, really good mentality. He's playing a 1.5 star. Look, is he going to get the 5-star? I don't know, because it's so hard to tell. But look, he's only 16 years old. Dribbling of 14, technique of 14. He's got 16 vision. Mental stats are insane. Physical stats are what you'd expect a 16-year-old to have. Like I said, that amazing mentality. He can play with both feet. He's also English. So, know what I mean? Down the line, this could probably be me moving Napan into the box and then putting him out on the left-hand side. But like I said, it's going to take a few seasons. He's only 16, so we'll reevaluate this in like a season or a season and a half and just kind of see how he's getting on. But this is one that could be pretty decent. Boys, that's enough messing about. Let's go play Season 3. So, boys, we're at the end of Season 3. Obviously, if we're here, once again, the youth intake was not great. But it was a 1.5 star. We did amazing. But obviously, my goal for this whole save is, once again, like I said, always keep us in European football and just keep building up. Obviously, bringing young players in and then selling them for large amounts of cash. I think we've done pretty well so far with that. But look, the main thing is going to be, in the league, just staying in European football. So let's jump over, see how we did in the Premiership. So things did not start off great. We ended up getting slapped 4-2 by Arsenal. Then in our second game at Anfield, we get demolished by Liverpool 5-2. But look, everything wasn't all bad. We ended up smashing Newcastle 3-0. On top of that, we also ended up beating Tottenham 4-1. We then also managed to get 3 points at Villa Park, beating them 3-2. You gotta remember, they were also Premier League champions last year. So then jumping over into the Premiership after, we did have some bad results. Look, I would love to say this was all down to injuries, but it wasn't. We just didn't really get a lot of momentum going this year. Look, we still finished 7th. Like I said, I wanted to finish in the top 7. Unfortunately, this doesn't mean we're in European football, but it is what it is. Look, 38 games, 19 wins, 5 draws, and 14 losses. The 14 losses, look, Chelsea, Man City, Man United, and Crystal Palace hard games. The rest of those not in the far, Southampton, Wolves, Brentford, and Fulham, we should be winning. So maybe it's just like the formation that we're using with the players that we've got just maybe isn't just suiting what we're doing. Look, we can look into it. But I feel like this formation, I've played with this formation loads. It is very, very good. But I just feel like it just doesn't suit the players that we have. So we may need to switch off. But all in all, look, we stayed in the top 7 in the last 3 years, which is still very, very good. We don't have anybody in the top goal scorers, which is unfortunate. But we do have 2 very young strikers. Nobody in the average ratings and nobody in the assists. Once again, very unfortunate. We don't even have anybody in the yellow card, so it just proved that we didn't have a fantastic season if we're not even in the yellow cards. But then jumping up into the team overall stats, we can see most points in game. Look, we ended up finishing down in 7th, which is unfortunate. Once again, we scored the most goals, so once again, I feel like we're just conceding too many goals. Most shots for, we're 2nd in the league for most shots for. Fewest shots against, we're not in there. Most clean sheets, we're not in there. And fewest conceded, we're not in there. So this is, like I said, once again, the problem I think we're having with necessarily not the tactic, but like I said, just the players that we have at the club mixed with our tactic. I feel like we may have to mix it up a little bit, because I feel like our team is more than good enough. We should be pushing a little further up a league. But look, although finished just outside of Europe, it is what it is. So let's jump over and see how we did in the cups. I'm still kind of upset that where we finished in the league though. So starting things off in the 3rd round of the Carabao Cup, we just about scraped past Blackburn, beating them on penalties, which then took us to the 5th round where we faced off against Tottenham. They ended up beating us 5-3, so that was us out of the Carabao Cup. It's just a competition we're not doing great in right now. Like I said, overall between the league and the Carabao Cup, I don't think we had a great season so far, but we do still have other couple of competitions. Obviously, we're going to be in the Europa League and we're going to be still in the FA Cup. So let's jump over and hope we do a little bit better in those. So that then took us to the FA Cup, where we started things off in the third round against Forest. We ended up beating them 3-1. We then went on to the fourth round to draw 5 each away to Luton. So yeah, defensively we're not great. That then took us to a replay where we ended up smashing them 4-1 to go round to the next round, which was the fifth round against Crystal Palace, and we ended up beating them 4-1. In the quarterfinals we faced off against MK Dons. We ended up beating them 2-1, but it took us the whole way to extra time, which means we moved on to the semi-finals, where we faced off against Fulham, where once again it took us till extra time. As you can see, with 38 and 20, so it was 1 each, and then 99, 105, 120. We also did miss a penalty as well in full time, so this could have been just like a 2-1 win, but once again, look, we scraped through. But that means, boys, we're on the little FA Cup final, where we faced off against Southampton. We actually started off the scoring through Karim Kanate. Facundo from the spot then made it 2-0. Bintao then made it 3. Facundo got one from another penalty to make it 4-0. 10 minutes later, Southampton did get a lifeline. 3 minutes later, they got another one, but unfortunately for them, we were too strong and we won the FA Cup. Finally, boys, a nice little piece of silverware. Look, after not doing great in the league and not doing great in the Carabao Cup, we smashed it. We also got a good run. We did get a good run, like MK Dons, Fulham, Southampton. Like, we got pretty lucky from like the quarterfinals up to the final. We didn't have to face off against a Liverpool, a Chelsea, a Man City, etc. But look, it doesn't matter. Sometimes you just get a little bit of luck when you win some silverware, and it's nice to get a wee bit of silverware in the bag. So let's see how we did in the Europa League. So we started things off in the league phase against SK Rapid. We ended up beating them 5-1. FC20, or I know that's not how you pronounce the name, but you know who they are. We ended up beating them 3-1. We beat Freiburg 2-1. We had a good 4-2 win over Porto. We then also beat Besiktas 4-0. Then we beat Astana 4-1. 3-1, I just lied to you. Then we absolutely obliterated Malmo 7-2. Then in our final league phase match, we actually ended up beating Rangers away at Ibrox 3-2, which meant after the league phase, we actually ended up finishing second, just in behind Man City. It's wild that Man City and Tottenham were in here along with us, but because we finished in the top 8, we missed the knockouts and went straight to the round of 16, where we faced off against that team up there. We beat them 2-1. I feel like I'm doing them an injustice by not trying to pronounce their name completely wrong, so we're going to go for it. Ferenc Sivaros, we ended up beating them 6-2 in the second leg, so we beat them 8-3 in aggregate. We faced off against a very, very good Valencia team. Look, we know they've got a lot of money. They've bought a bunch of really, really good players. We drew them 3 each in the first match. The second match was also very, very close. We ended up beating them 3-2, so we went through 6-5 in aggregate, which took us to semi-finals, boys, where we faced off against Lazio. We beat them 1-0 in the first leg. In the second leg, we ended up drawing with them 2 each, which meant we went through 3-2 to, boys, a little Europa League final, where we faced off against, of course, Man City. So a mistake from them give us a goal straight away. Big Evan Ferguson wasn't going to miss that. They hit back just before halftime through Florian Wirtz. We scored another one just after halftime through Big Ruder. And boys, that was the only goals of the game. We ended up winning the Europa League against Man City. When I seen them at the top of the group, them and Spurs right in behind us, I was like, we're going to get one of the two of them in the final. But boys, this is amazing. After having, look, a bit of a shaky start in the league, and then also being terrible in the Carabao Cup, to go on and winning the FA Cup and then winning the Europa League, which means, boys, because we won the Europa League, you'll probably see him beside our name now. Even though we finished 7th, we're in the UEFA Champions League next year, boys. Look, honestly, it's one of those ones, do we deserve to be here? Yes, because we won the Europa League, but then we were also a wee bit terrible in the league, which I also don't understand with this tactic, because we used this tactic in the first season and we were fantastic, and our team has got better. So I don't understand how the tactic is playing worse for us with a better team. It's all got a little bit strange. But I think, honestly, over the 3 seasons, I feel like we've just conceded too many goals. And I have used this tactic in a save. I feel like it's also always a wee bit different simulating matches. Obviously, I've played with this tactic playing the games, so like you can see things unfold and it's a little bit easier to control the team. I never conceded this many goals when I played with this tactic, but simulating seems a little bit different. And yeah, I feel like for simulating purposes, we may have to change the tactic going in the next season. So then, boys, jumping over into the player statistics. I've already seen what Carneshi's is like. Played 55 games, conceded 95 goals, which, like I said, is massively unacceptable. Even for a team that, if we were playing one defender, I probably wouldn't expect to concede this many goals. But joking aside, look, we know what the problem is. We can fix it. 10 clean sheets, but look, Carneshi's an absolutely fantastic keeper. This is not on him. It's just, I think we're forcing the team to play to attacking. We just need to chill a little bit. Because look, obviously we have the firepower. Our team is very, very good all around. Don't worry, Bastian's just upset because he wants a new contract. He played 59 games, 9 goals, 3 assists. He's also looking very, very good right now. And he still has room to improve, which is great. Then the big fella in beside him. I can't even say big fella because Bastian's 6'3". Scalvini 6'4", but he played 42 games, 7 goals, 3 assists. Beidou started 7 games, 22 off the bench and 1 goal. Then Sila actually started a decent amount of games as well, 17 off the bench. Started 17, 32. Look, I am so warm today. My brain's not working, if you can't tell. I was looking back at the other footage, just making sure the audio and all was good. I am so sweaty. If you don't know, the UK's having a bit of a heat wave when I'm recording this, so my room's a bit of a sauna right now. But Sila, like I said, really, really good player. He's happy enough to play as a squad player, so like I'm happy enough to keep him. I think having Sila and Beidou as our 2 backup defenders, we have 2 very, very good backups on top of 2 very, very good starting defenders, so I'm happy with the centre backs. Then of course Gutierrez on the left hand side, 51 games started, 4 goals, 15 assists. This is better, starting to get up into that 20 like sort of goal involvement. Then young Tino Livramento over on the other side, played 49 games, 3 goals, 12 assists. Tino has like all the stats to be fantastic, but he just, I don't know, he just never gets there. But he's so well rounded. Like, he's good going forward, he's good going back, and he's English, and he's only 24. But just, I don't know, maybe the tactics just not working for him. Then of course Baleba, who's just been absolutely fantastic. He now has the trait where he doesn't enjoy the big games, but this one doesn't seem to be. This may be a placebo effect. I don't know if this is the same for everybody else. People that don't enjoy the big matches, it doesn't seem to hinder players as much as the inconsistency trait. I don't know, like I said, if this is worth the same for you, let me know in the comments down below. But he also looks absolutely fantastic as well. I really wish he was a better leader, because I would just make him captain. 39 appearances, obviously had a wee niggle every now and then, as you can see, just coming back from an injury. 6 goals, 3 assists. And of course, young Naipan playing out on the left-hand side, he did absolutely fantastic. 54 games, 14 goals, 18 assists, and also he can still improve as well. And of course, Ruben Neves in the middle of the park as well. 41 games started, 7 goals, 8 assists. Karim Konate starting to play a little bit better. Only started 33 games. Obviously, he was away, as you can see, still traveling because of his nationality. They're away. Was it AFCON? Half of the time. I don't know why they're away for like international stuff, but we missed him for quite a decent amount of games, and then he had a wee injury. But he started 33 games, 11 off the bench, 14 goals, 7 assists. Young Skyvink, 55 games started, 17 goals and 3 assists. Look, he's still not playing at a Premiership level. He's got a long way to go to improve. This is one, honestly, I feel like I really, really need to just loan out. I feel like he's going to take probably maybe like another 2 or 3 years before he's really, really good. Obviously, the save is going to be over by then. So I feel like I need to bring in like another striker to just in beside Ferguson, who's just ready for the Premiership now. And of course, the big man up beside him, Evan Ferguson, only started 35 games as well. Once again, had a few niggles. He now also has the doesn't enjoy big games trait, but he scored 24 goals and 11 assists. Young Enciso only started 2 games, 19 off the bench, 3 goals, 2 assists. He's very, very upset. He's spaghetti. He wants to leave. And then, of course, we do have young Facundo, who's just happy to be around, but he also started 47 games, 11 off goals and 15 assists. So 25 goal involvements from him. Like I said, still getting a decent amount of football. Obviously, with people being away, obviously at AFCON, and then a few injuries. We seem to be getting a lot of injuries as well, that he's getting a decent amount of football. So it sucks for the team, the injuries. But Facundo was loving it because he gets to play. Then young Lewis Millie, who I wasn't actually able to get out on loan, which is wild, but he started 14 games, 18 off the bench, 2 goals, 4 assists. So look, boys, all in all, look, the Premiership, we did reasonably well. Like I said, my goal was obviously to stay in European football, stay in the top 7 teams. We did that. Look, missed out on European football because another team won the Carabao Cup. But then we ended up winning the FA Cup, and then we ended up winning the Europa League. So now we're back into the Champions. The Premiership's a wild league. Like, it just shows you, even like, look at the Europa League final that season there. Tottenham and Man United, obviously I'm a Man United supporter, but like 15th and 16th play each other in an Europa League final. Spurs won. Now they're in the Champions League for finishing 16th in the Premiership. The Premiership's wild. But look, all in all, like I said, I think this tactic just doesn't suit the players like how we want to play. So I do feel like I'm going to switch it up a little bit. So you may see a different tactic. Obviously, any tactics I use will all be in the pinned comments down below whenever this video goes live, along with the save file, the corner routine, and the updated database. Everything you can just go and download it for free. Boys, that is the end of Season 3. Let's jump over into Season 4. So boys, then hopping over into Season 4, obviously the same goal is just stay in Europe. Keep smashing, keep doing what we're doing. Obviously, we're in the Champions League this year with the big boys. I have changed the formation a little bit. May go with 2 different formations, not really overly too sure yet, but we sold a lot of players for a lot of money. One of the first ones out the door was Jack Hinzelwood. This is one that I couldn't stop. He wanted to go to Arsenal. But I think I'll be surprised by how much they offered us for him. You got to remember, he's a guy that doesn't really overly play for us. He just kind of sits. As you can see, look, no games, 1 game, 2 game. He did play 31 games, did 27 there, Arsenal, I mean, like a bit of a squad player. So Arsenal give us 47 million up front, working its way up to 76 million for a player that was a squad rotation player. Look, obviously he's English, he's 22, and he's a good player, would like to keep him, but for that type of money, would be crazy not to just fucking sell him. And the next one out the door was Ruben Neves going back to the Saudi League after coming to us for 1 season. Look, once again, another player I don't really want to sell. He's 30, but he's absolutely fantastic. Him and Baleba in the middle of the park are a good combination. But yeah, so we got him for free, sold him on for 55 million up front, working its way up to 70 million for a guy that we just got last season for nothing. Yeah, once again, I think a bit of a transfer we can't really say no to. Then another one we get rid of to the Saudi League, like I said. Thank God to the Saudi League. They're just absolute gentlemen. We get rid of Reuter, which once again, another player that hardly ever plays. 45 million for him all up front. The man played 31 games, 30 games. They're wrong. Like, he got some games for us, but like he wasn't a guaranteed starter type thing. He's a squad player, and we got 45 million for him. Then another one we get rid of was Gruda. Another one that honestly just hardly ever played. So Eintracht Frankfurt come in, offered us 14 million up front, working its way up to 8.2. I kind of bit their hand off, I'm not gonna lie. It was for a guy that never played. Then the big one out the door, this is one honestly I didn't want to get rid of, because you know my love for big, strong, physical strikers. Evan Ferguson, they came in and offered us a bid. I said no. He got upset, even though technically we're in Champions League football. But they asked him, I think if they asked Villa, they have been playing better than us, so I kind of understand. But like, look, we got good money, 50 million up front, working its way up to 80 million. So all in, I think we made about like 215 million or something in this transfer window. So obviously with all these people going out, we needed to replace them. The first one I brought in because he was on the transfer list and a little upsetty spaghetti with his current club because he wasn't really overly playing, was Gabriel Moscardo. This is one that's obviously going to play in midfield for us. But look, he's 6'1", very, very good mentality. He's consistent. He's 21 years old. He also was transfer listed for 28 million. If you think about it, he's going to replace Neves. Neves we sold for what, like 70 or 80 million, and we got this guy in for 28. And obviously, like I said, I'm just going to start putting a lot of money into bringing young wonder kids in. Obviously trying to bring as many like English, Scottish, Welsh, and like Northern Irish and Irish players in as I possibly can. Find this young guy, Charlie Doherty. We got him for a total of 2.4 million. That was his release clause. But look, at the kid's got 20 determination, a fantastic mentality. He can play reasonably well, both feet. Physical stats are very, very good. He's 15 dribbling, 15 finishing, 15 first touch. Yeah, he's only 18, so we're going to drop him down into like the under 21s, just leave him there for a couple of seasons, kind of let him get a bit of football, and then obviously see what he's like in a few seasons, loan him out, whatever we're going to do with him, or bring him up in the first team if he ends up absolutely insane. But like for just over 2 million, there's no real sort of risk with this. I then also brought in Jace Fitzgerald. This is more just for a little bit of cover at right back. Obviously with Hizelwood going to Arsenal, we were going to need someone that can play right back. Yeah, Fitzgerald was, I'm not gonna lie, he was very expensive. Cost us a total of 1 million. This is another one. Look, he can play right back, he can play in midfield, he's English, he's only 20, he cost us absolutely fuck all, and he's happy to play as an exciting young prospect, not even a squad player. And look, once again, not a lot of money, so not a lot of risk. I then also brought in another young keeper. Look, I'm trying to just get a couple of young players into the team, and obviously keepers are going to be a huge part. I think I brought a keeper in last season that I didn't show you, so I'll show you that after. But then one of the last ones I brought in, I'm not too sure if I'm actually going to start this kid. Look, here's the thing, right? He's only 18 years old. He's very, very good in the air. He's 6'5". He's Scottish. Once again, trying to keep as many UK-based players as I can. He's got a fantastic mentality. He's also got 15 finishing, 15 first touch, technique of 14, 13 passing, 15 teamwork, 13 off the ball, 13 leadership, 15 flair, 14 determination, 13 composure. Physical stats are relatively decent. I am going to work, as you can see over here, into his development. I'm going to work on his agility and balance. Look, if he's not going to, his speed will probably go up to like 13 or 14 over time, but his agility and balance are only 11 and 9, so I do want to work on them. And honestly, his finishing's already absolutely fantastic. His heading is also very good, 15 jumping reach with 14 heading. And look, you know my love for players. He's very Esposito-esque, and you know my love for Esposito in this game. And he's honestly as good as Esposito is at his age. So look, I would start Esposito straight away. So I feel like I'm gonna start this kid and just give him a wee bit of time. Because look, this has been a lot of fun, bringing young players in, selling them for like insane amounts of money. Like I think we've made probably, how much money have we made? I'm gonna tally it up. So I tallied it up. It's in and around 550 million we've made, and we'll say 3.5 seasons because we haven't really technically started the 4th season. So we've made 500 million in 3.5 years, which is absolutely insane. Like if there was ever like a Brighton build, this would be it. Obviously, I need the team to perform a little bit better, but I can't even say the team's performing bad. We're Brighton. We're not meant to be like fighting the upper echelon. I know a lot of people do rebuilds. They buy the best of the best and they throw them in. They win the Champions League in 2 years. Look, I like to do things a little bit different. I like to keep things exciting for me. Yes, of course, winning the Champions League is great, but I had a goal with a save that was to keep the Brighton way. Bring players in cheap, sell them for fucking insane amounts of money. I've also asked the board to build a new stadium because our stadium's only like 33,000 and like we're in the Champions League, we're always in Europe, we have a fuck ton of money, so we'll just have to wait and see what they say. You know they're gonna say no, but I just thought I would ask them anyway. But look, I feel like I just give this kid a chance. I also found this little Russian keeper. He look, I would like to say I found this Russian keeper. My scouts actually found this guy. I'm taking credit for it. I set the scouting system up, so technically I found him, okay? Look, we're going with that. Look, the kid is only 18 years old, 6'2", can play with both feet, and amazing mentality. He's already, his strongest attribute is securing the ball, and then he's also super consistent. So look, handling of fucking 16 already, determination of 17, positioning of 14. As you can see over here, he looks absolutely disgusting. Obviously, this is going to probably be our long-term replacement for Karnashi because this kid is a little more well-rounded. I would say we give him probably a full season in probably under 21s, and I think this kid will be absolutely disgusting. 2 years, if we give him 2 years, probably one of the best keepers in the game, if his potential is as good as it says is, because you know with the star ratings, you buy a guy at 5 stars, a year later he's down to 3, so like we just have to go in and kind of see what he's like. But look, bought him for a total of 8.5 million. It's not a lot of cash. Once again, there's not a lot of risk. That was his buy clause. They wouldn't take anything apart from that. But look, I think this is a good young keeper that could potentially be our first choice next year. But for this season, I think this is kind of something similar to what I'm going to play. I have 2 versions of a tactic that I'm kind of on the fence about which one I want to play. This one obviously is very good. So just sweeper keeper, 4 at the back, 2 ball playing defenders, but it has a halfback. So the halfback's like a defensive midfielder, and then when we have the ball, he drops back in to help the 2 centre backs. So basically it turns into like 3 centre backs at the back. Then we have a deep line playmaker and a Roman playmaker, so Baleba and Naipan in the middle of the park. Kanate over the right hand side. I'm going to give Buonate a wee go this season because look, the kid has been there. He hasn't complained once. He's just shut the fuck up and just played football. He's valued at 108 million. So I think this is a season to give the kid a chance. And then, like I said, obviously Castillo up top. Look, I'm aiming for, once again, staying in European football. Finishing in that top 6, top 7 in and around there again. Look, worst comes to worst, we'll just win the Champions League and then we're guaranteed Champions League football next year, right? It's just that easy, boys. We'll just win the Champions League. But like I said, joking aside, that is the goal. I would like to do... Look, we've won the FA Cup. We have won the Europa League. I would like to do better in the Carabao Cup. I would like to try and win both of the cups before we finish this save. And obviously, look, I would love to win the league, but we would need to buy disgustingly good players or get a little bit of luck. But I feel like this is one of the tactics. This one, I'm tossing up between this tactic or playing this tactic. Both of them, I think, are very good. The only one with this tactic is Karim Kanate cannot play as an advanced midfielder on attack, which means he's going to have to learn a new position. So if you don't know Football Manager, as you can see, right, for him to learn a new position, I think it's like, what, 7 to 10 attribute points. So say somebody's got a potential ability between like 150 and 170. So that's 20 ability points that they can use to upgrade their stats. That's why when people get to their potential, they basically have just run out of ability points. So I think it's like 10 points to learn a new position. Anybody who knows the exact numbers, leave in the comments down below. I think it's in and around there between like 7 and 10. So I would have to, obviously he could improve significantly. So say another star. So I'm probably going to have to waste whatever's left of his potential on him learning a new position. So I feel like what's best for the team and for Kanate, because Kanate is one of our best players. He is one of our best players. So I'm just going to keep him as the inside forward. I think I'm going to start with this tactic and then just kind of see how we get on. Obviously, if anything changes, I'll let you know. And like I said previously, all the tactics that I use in the save, along with the updated database, the corner routine, and the save file will all be in the pinned comments down below. But boys, I think that's enough messing about. I think we just jump over into season 4. Look, if there's anybody really, really good on Approach of Science, I'll probably not bring his back. I'll just show you next summer. And then I would love to bring his back in April for a good youth intake. But we just haven't had one. But then we've had a couple of bad youth intakes. But then we have had, I did bring the wee young kid up. Where is he? Where Pierce Barfoot. He is going to be up on the first team. Obviously, I'll reevaluate this in January. If he's not getting any football, I'll put him back down into the under 18s or the under 21s and kind of just reevaluate. But look, he came through a really bad youth intake. Didn't look like a good player. And he looks like he could be very, very good. So, like I said, we'll just have to reevaluate. I may just show you the youth intakes, and then obviously you'll know who the players are down the line. But all in all, boys, look, that's enough messing about. Let's go play season 4. So, boys, we're at the end of season 4, and obviously with a wee bit of a formation change, I think we've done a lot better this season. Obviously, we'll have to see the stats, see how many goals we conceded and stuff, but I feel like we had a lot better performances. Obviously, once again, the goals to stay in Europe, make a shit ton of cash, and just try and do well in the Champions League this year. But we kicked the season off against Man City, where we had a little community shield action. We actually started off the scoring through Baleba. Then Young and Ciso made it 2-0 to us. Man City, of course, hit back through Erling Haaland. Man City then added their second, once again through Erling Haaland, which then took us to a penalty shooter. As you know, the penalties is a little fucky whenever you're watching the key highlights. But we actually did end up winning the penalty shooter. As you can see, we scored 3. They missed all 3 of the start of their penalties. Haaland missed, Kulusevski missed, and Lewis missed. So we ended up winning after 3 penalties each, which, look, I ain't gonna say no. And starting off the season with a wee piece of silverware was absolutely fantastic. Which then took us to the Premiership, where we actually started off really strong against Crystal Palace, beating them 4-0. We then unfortunately got absolutely hammered by Man United 3-1. Liverpool then beat us 2-1. But boys, don't worry, we bounced back in true Brighton fashion. We ended up smashed Newcastle 3-1. Then had a 4-1 win over Arsenal, 3-0 win over Man City. And then to round off the end of the season, we ended up beating Middlesbrough 8-0. Look, I know they're not a top tier team, but look, scoring 8 goals past a small team, it's a nice feeling. So then after all that, boys, we ended up finishing 5th, which I am very, very happy with. Like I said, my goal going in, stay in European football and look, I would ideally love to have stayed in the Champions League, but look, it is what it is. We can't just we can't get it every year. We're so close. We are right there, right behind Chelsea. Breaking into his top teams like City, Man United, Liverpool, Chelsea. Look, Arsenal are down in 7th, Newcastle in 10th, Villa are 11th, Tottenham are down in 12th. It's absolutely wild. Wolves ended up getting relegated, which is insane. But look, we played 38 games, 21 wins, 8 draws, and 9 defeats. I would like to knock, obviously, the draws and defeats down to like 6, 5 in and around there. But like, obviously, we're progressing every season. We had 51 goal difference, way better than what we had last year, and then 71 points. Obviously, we're still a little bit off Man City, but look, we're progressing every year. We do have Justin Castillo, our young striker, is 3rd on the goal scoring list in the Premiership, so this is really, really nice to see. And then we also have Gutierrez and Tino Livramento 1 and 2 for assists. Once again, fantastic to see. Sila and Gutierrez are also in there for yellow cards. We don't have anybody the clean sheets or the player matches. If you go up to the team overall stats, most points is Man City. We're down in 5th, dropped off just a little bit this season, but look, I'm pretty happy with that. We scored 99 goals, once again scoring the most goals in the Premiership. Most shots for was us by probably about 40, and then fierce shots against. We're actually in here. We are in 6th. Most clean sheets, we're up to 5th, which is fantastic. And then fierce conceded, we went up from 48. We conceded 68 last year in the Premiership, so that's a 20 goal reduction from just changing a few things in the tactic. And that's exactly what we wanted. Look, we know we can score goals. We've got a good team. We just needed to tighten it up a wee bit at the back. And like I said, once again, we stayed in Europe. We played well. We were a little more consistent. I'm very, very happy. Like I said, my goal was just to stay in European football and just play a little bit better. Look, we dropped 20 goals, less conceding in the season, and scored nearly 100. So this is very, very good. But look, all in all, good season in the Premiership. Won the Community Shield. So let's move over into the cups. So starting off in the FA Cup of competition, we've actually done pretty well. And as you remember, last year we did win it. The year before that, we were in the final, got beat by Man City. So we've been in 2 finals 2 years in a row. So we started things off in the 3rd round against Blackburn. We beat them 3-1. In the 4th round, we then played Chesterfield. We beat them 4-0. In the 5th round, we played York. We beat them 4-0. We've got a wee bit of a nice run so far. That then took us over to the quarterfinals, where we faced off against Chelsea. We beat them 4-2. But unfortunately, this is where our cup run ended. We ended up getting smashed 3-1 by Arsenal. But But look, all in all, the last 2 seasons we've done really, really well in the FA Cup, getting to 2 finals, and we got the semi-final this year. Look, we were 1 game away from being in an FA Cup final 3 years in a row. But all in all, look, we've had a really, really good season. Won the Community Shield, stayed in European football in the Premiership. We got this semi-final of the FA Cup. Let's go and see how we did in the Carabao Cup, a competition that we haven't been great in. We started things off in the 3rd round against Tottenham, of all teams, like a top Premiership team. We ended up beating them 4-1. I know, look, people are going to laugh when you say that, but Spurs have actually got a really, really good team in FM. We then somehow in the 4th round had a harder game against Stockport, beating them 3-2. That then moved us on to the quarterfinals where we faced off against Leyton Orient, smashing them 5-1. In the semi-finals, we faced off against Nottingham Forest. We beat them 4-2 in the first leg. In the second leg, it wasn't much different. We controlled the game, beat them 2-1. So that means we go through to the Carabao Cup final against Chelsea. And things did not start off great for us, because in the first minute, young Castillo ended up scoring an OG. Then a minute later, Chelsea went 2-0 up. So in 3 minutes, we were 2-0 down in the final, and things were not looking great. But then a minute later, we ended up hitting back through Gutierrez. So there's been 3 goals in 4 minutes. It then took us to half time to get back into the game to make it 2 each. And that was to score at full time. So it ended up going to a penalty shootout again, where once again, we won. This was a lot closer. It was 8-9. Obviously, the 9 to us. The only people that missed for us was Boantino and Scalvini. They ended up have Chilwell, Reyes, and Amsolino. No idea who the hell that is. But look, doesn't matter how we win it. The fact that, look, if you scroll up, this was a crazy match. I looked at this because obviously I write down who scores, so then I remember who scores. But look, the fact that Castillo scored in the 2nd minute, Nicholas Jackson scored in the 3rd minute, we scored in the 5th minute, and then we scored just before halftime. So literally, there was 3 goals in 5 minutes. Look, if you're going to go to a cup final, that's exactly what you want to see, right? It's just a ton of goals straight away. Ideally, it's not great for people's nerves, because, you know, there's nothing worse than being 2-0 down in fucking 3 minutes in a cup final. But look, that means we've won the Carabao Cup this season. I'm so happy with this, because obviously, like I said, competition we haven't really done well in. So that then took us over to the Champions League, where we didn't start off great. We ended up getting beat 2-1 by Ajax. We then drew 2-each against Valencia. I don't know where Valencia is getting all their money from. Obviously, they've bought Van Bommel and Verbergen off us, but then they also offered for Baliba 92 million in January. Obviously, I rejected it, because I was like, where the fuck is Valencia getting all this money from? They must have had a takeover, but we drew 2-each with them. So a loss and a draw in our first 2 games. But we do push on and start getting a wee bit of momentum. Then we ended up beating Man United 3-1. We then beat Roma 2-1. We smashed Leon 4-1. We then unfortunately got beat by Basel 3-2. Yes, we did have a man sent off, but even with a man down, this is a game we should be winning. We then drew 2-each with Monaco. And our final league phase match, we ended up smashing Inter 6-0, which meant then obviously going over into the league phase. Look, we finished 13th. Very, very respectable. I'm very, very happy with this. Look, we're just behind fucking Man United, Roma, Barcelona, Chelsea. Look, breaking into this top 8 is very, very difficult, but I think we did well. Finishing the 13th, which then took us to the knockouts, where we didn't start great against Feyenoord. They ended up beating us 4-2 in the first leg. In the second leg, we returned to favour though, and absolutely obliterated them 5-1 to go through 7-5 in aggregate, which then took us to the round of 16, where we faced off against Aston Villa. We drew in the first leg 1 each. But unfortunately at Villa Park, the story was not the same. They absolutely obliterated us 3-0. So they ended up going through 4-1. But look, we did really, really well in the Champions League. We've had a good season, and we made it to the round of 16. I'm very, very happy with this. Like I said, my goal is just to keep progressing every season. Look, I know I could go out and buy the best of the best players, but that's not what I want to do with this save. I want to build the team up the way Brighton would, buying young players, selling them on for crazy money, and then just developing young players. And obviously, this is a perfect one for me. I love to develop young players in FM. It's my thing. But look, I think we did well this season, and the round of 16 is very, very good. So then hopping over into the player performances, I actually ended up playing young Dimitri, our young keeper. Can't actually get injured. I threw him in. He did very, very well. So I ended up just keeping on playing him. Obviously, he's going to be our future keeper, and he's got a fucking ton of potential. So he played 39 games, conceded 56, and 10 clean sheets. The crazy thing is, this is him at 18. He's not even playing at a Premiership level yet. What's he going to be like when he gets to a Premiership level? Because he's a 2-star, he has 4 to 5 star potential. If he gets to 3.5, he's going to be a very good keeper. Then young Bastian at one of our centre backs. Obviously, all 4 of our centre backs get good rotation, which I'm very, very happy with. He played 34 games, started 25 off the bench, 5 goals, 4 assists. Big Scalvini probably started the most games out of all our centre backs. 59 started, 2 off the bench, 11 goals and 2 assists. Obviously, him being 6'4", we're probably aiming for him from corners. Big Beidou as well, starting a lot of games. 20 started, 33 off the bench, 1 goal. On top of that, Sila also started a ton of games. 44 started. Obviously, with us playing a lot of competitions, we're in the Premiership. We were in the Community Shield, we were in both cups, we were in the Champions League, so we had a lot of games to play. So ideally, everybody was getting rotated, which was nice. So like I said, 44 games started, 7 off the bench, 3 goals, 5 assists. Gutierrez at left back had a very, very good season. 54 games started, 6 goals, 28 assists. This is exactly what I want my fullbacks. Look, I don't expect them to get this many assists every year. If they can break 20 goal involvements over the whole season, I'm very, very happy. Tino Livramento also stepped it up this year. 56 games started, 2 goals, 20 assists. So like I said, both of them breaking that 20 sort of like goal contributions in the season. Young Fitzgerald didn't start as many games, but he did get a lot of football. But look, he understands. He's here as a young, exciting prospect. He's only 21. He's English, helping us with registration as well. But like I said, he can play in a multitude of positions, which is fantastic. Started 1 game, but he had 24 off the bench. Of course, then young Valentino Barco is a backup for Gutierrez. Started 10 games, 41 off the bench, 5 goals, 10 assists. Look, I understand he wants to start more games. I really, really do, because the kid is super talented. I think we're more than likely probably going to lose him in the summer, because he's been just chirping all season that he wants to get first team football. If you look at him, I understand why. He is fantastic, but Gutierrez is unreal, bro. So we may end up losing Valentino Barco in the summer. I don't think he's going to, stay for another season and just like, obviously he's not going to sign an our contract in a couple of years because he just wants first team football. And like, I get it. He's 23, wants to get into the Argentina team. I understand. Then moving over into the big boys in the middle of the park, I say that like our 2 centre backs aren't fucking massive. Baliba, 52 games started, 10 goals, 8 assists. He's also wanted by Liverpool and Atletico Madrid. Atletico Madrid, I feel like we can fight off, but Liverpool's going to be a rough one if they come in and offer. But there has been a bunch of offers, and I've rejected them. He hasn't said anything, so I'm happy to keep him. I would like to keep him in the team. Then the big man in beside him, Moscardo, played 49 games, 3 goals, 8 assists. Young Lewis Millie didn't start as many games, but did get a decent amount of football. Started 6 games, 33 off the bench, 4 goals, 2 assists. And then, of course, young Facundo, who I wanted to give play time to. I did change to a wee bit of a different formation. I'll show you this after. And then, like I said, obviously any formations I use will always be in the pinned comments when this video goes live. Started 49 games, 15 off the bench, 26 goals, 19 assists, so a really, really good season from him. Then, of course, Karim Kanate, another one, had a good season. Started 63 games, so round of applause for being fit for that many games. I think that's a wild amount of games. If you're playing over 50 games, that's a good season, but 63 is wild. But he had 25 goals and 14 assists. Then, of course, young Naipan didn't play just as many games, got a few wee niggles. Look, he does have the injury-prone trait, so I kind of expect this. Started 40 games, 14 off the bench, 14 goals and 7 assists. I would like to see this a wee bit more. He's on support and behind the striker, so I understand he's not going to be involved in just as much as play as Kanate and Facundo, but I would like to see a wee bit more from him, because he's like our little midfield maestro. Of course, then the young kid that we brought up from the under-18s, Barfoot, started 3 games, 38 off the bench. We got some decent amount of football, 5 goals and 3 assists, so he's probably more than likely going to stay in the first team. And like I said, I'll just reevaluate it like sort of January time. If he's not getting football, I'll loan him out. But look, if he's getting 38 games off the bench, that's kind of where you want like an 18-year-old to be, just coming off the bench, getting a wee bit of experience. Then young Julio Asiso, another one that actually got a decent amount of games as well. 36 games started, 20 off the bench, 12 goals, 8 assists. I have also offered him a new contract as he's accepted it, because look, he's happy to be as a squad player, and I'm happy to keep him around. Young Skyvink, another one that got a decent amount of football this year. 11 games started, 20 off the bench, 8 goals, 1 assist. Ideally, look, would like to loan him out, but I'm happy enough to keep him around as a squad player. He's set as an exciting young prospect, and look, he's still getting a decent amount of football. And then obviously the one that everybody wants to see how our young striker did. Look, he had a good season. 53 games started, 26 goals and 3 assists. So look, 29 goal involvements in his first season. And like I said, look at all those green arrows going up. He's not even at a Premiership level. If this is what he's doing at not a Premiership level, I honestly believe we have a very, very good player in our hands. And like I said, I'm trying to keep as many sort of like English, Scottish, Welsh, Irish, Northern Irish sort of players in the team as much as I can. I have found some absolute gems. I have also brought a few young players in for next season. Obviously, when the youth intake comes in, I have a wee look around at other clubs and see what young players are there. Obviously, the next gen list helps out quite a lot with that as well. Yeah, we got some exciting young players coming in next year. A few of them, there's two more I am hunting, but obviously they just signed new contracts, so couldn't get them, so we'll probably have to wait till the summer. Obviously, our transfer budget, 364 million, because we haven't spent anything. But this is the formation I kind of went with. Like I said, I'm trying to play to the strengths of our team. We have two fantastic defensive midfielders in our team in Balebo and Moscardo, so I'm trying to play into that. Obviously, our fullbacks in Gutierrez and Tino Livramento are fantastic. Karim Kanate, I did end up training as an attacking midfielder. Like I said, it took away a wee bit of his stats. Didn't really seem to affect him. He played 63 games, played really well. So like I said, Facundo and him are the more attacking. Naipan is the more sort of like a wee bit sort of, he's our little maestro. The ball goes through him quite a lot. And then, like I said, Young Castillo up top. I think we've built an absolutely fantastic team. I'm very, very happy with the starting team. I don't think I overly changed much. Like I said, I'm trying to make a Wonderkid factory at this team. So we're going to be buying a lot of players in the 5th and final season here. Like I said, I've already brought 4 in from April there, and I have 2 more in mind. So we're going to have at least 6 players coming in the summer. And then obviously I'm going to arrange some future transfers with a lot of other younger players. But we just have to wait and see if we can get them in the door. But boys, all in all, a fantastic season. We won the Community Shield, stayed in European football in the league, got to the semi-finals of the FA Cup, we won the Carabao Cup, and we made it to the round of 16 in the Champions League. I'm very, very happy with that for a season. Look, next season, do the same thing. Obviously, unfortunately, we're not in Champions League football because we didn't win the Europa League, and we were 2 points behind Chelsea getting the Champions League football. So that's our goal next year, try and get up in the Champions League football. But look, we're in the Europa League. If we win the Europa League next year again, we could push ourselves in the Champions League football if we don't just make it in the league. But look, all in all, very, very happy with this. Let's move over into season 5. So boys, then moving over into the 5th and final season. Obviously, there's not too much I really overly want to change with the team. I'm just bringing in a lot of young players and just trying to strengthen up for the future. Obviously, whenever everybody takes this save on, it means you're going to have a plethora of really, really good kids. But the things I always like to do with these builds, it's not just relative to Brighton, is I like to leave the club in a good spot whenever I leave. Obviously, people do rebuilds however the fuck they want. Me, I want the club to be financially sound, have a really, really good plethora of good players in the first team and a bunch of really, really good players in the youth team. So basically you've 2 teams, you've basically enough good players for the next probably 8 to 10 years to do a rebuild. And then obviously you've got a ton of money. So we had a lot of cash. How much do we have? 400 million to spend in the transfer window, because obviously I haven't really spent a lot. We've only lost 1 player in the transfer window, which I think was pretty good, and that was Karim Kanate. Obviously, PSG came in for him. He wanted to leave. Look, I get it. You know what I mean? We're Brighton. It's Paris Saint-Germain, the current Champions League winners. But the thing that annoyed me the most, we didn't really get a lot of cash. We really didn't. We got a total of 45 million all up front. I feel like Kareem's at least a 50 to 60 million pound player, but they came in and offered, I think, God, what was it, 36 million. I said no. I went up to 50. They went down to 45. I was like, fuck it, 45 is a pretty decent offer, because he wanted to leave, and I was upsetting the club. It was upsetting the rest of the players, and obviously he's one of those players. Look, we brought in for a total of 17 million, sold him on for 45 million, so we made a really, really good profit. I would have liked 55. Anywhere from 55 to 60 million, I think, would have been a really, really good price. I think we get lowballed a little bit. Look, I got the best offer for a player that I could that wanted to leave. And like I said, I've been looking around Argentina and Brazil and stuff as well. There's apparently a lot of really good Greek players in the game. I don't know if that's maybe just a my save. I've seen a few people talking, I think Omega Luke was talking about this a while ago, about how many good Greek players there can be in the game. They play for big massive clubs though, so unfortunately it's Arsenal, Chelsea, fucking PSG and Real Madrid. I can't get them away from them. So I bought this little guy, Sebastian Valente. Look, he's only 18 years old. He's Argentinian, got a good mentality, super consistent, strong on one foot, very strong with the other foot. Natural fitness is through the roof. One thing I don't understand is his natural fitness is 18, but his stamina is 10. If you're naturally fit, your stamina is going to be naturally higher. Look, I know it's Football Manager, look, whatever. Just thought it was a little strange. First touch is 16, passing a 15, 16 technique. Teamwork and work rate are 15 and 13, which is really, really good. 16 vision, 15 off the ball, 15 flair, 13 composure. And like I said, we only paid a total of 6 million for him. I think is an absolute steal. Obviously, at a buy clause, I would have got him a little cheaper if I could have, but when they've got buy clauses, can't really do much. He's already valued 55 to 66 million. This is one I'll probably keep in maybe the under 18s or the under 21s and try and loan out. If we can't, then we'll just keep him in there for a little bit. But this is one I feel like he's very sort of Arda Güler-esque. Then one that I brought in, this was agreed from, I think, the youth intake last year. So I used last year's money for this. This one is Yumi Suzuki. This is obviously like a little bit of a carbon copy of Kareem Konate, because if you go in and compare the two, you should be able to find them. They're very, very similar. Obviously, Kareem Konate is about to be 25, and Suzuki has just turned 19. So as you can see, Kareem Konate is the blue, he's the green. They're very, very close. They are very, very close. But he is one I would definitely like to try and get loaned out and get a wee bit of football. He is a little injury prone, but like it's not dark red, so it should be okay. He's got a fantastic mentality, super consistent. He's not playing at a Premiership level yet, which is why I kind of want to loan him out a little bit. Costs us a total of 5 million. Once again, had a release clause. Could have maybe got him a little cheaper, but look, I think a really, really good player. He's got 16 finishing, 15 first touch. Dribbling would like to go up a little bit. Passing is a little bit. He's got good penalty taking, good technique. Teamwork and work rate are fantastic. Off the ball is good. Determination is 17. Decisions of 14. Composure of 16, which is massive for somebody his age. Then on top of that, he's also got 14 anticipation. Physical stats are absolutely fantastic. His physical stats don't look as great just because he has 4 jump and reach. He's already got 10 strength as well, and he's an absolute flying machine with good natural fitness and stamina. So I think for all the price that we paid for him, I think is a really good one. But one, like I said, I want to get loaned out. Then the next one I brought in is Luciano Acosta, another Argentinian. There's going to be a lot of Argentinians and Brazilians because we just seen that seems to be the people that we have found that are really good. This is one, once again, I brought in. I want to loan out. He's just turned 18. We paid a total of 10 million for him. Once again, that was his release clause. Physical stats are absolutely insane. All 13s, 14s, and 15s. Anticipation of 17. Composure's 13. Concentration's 14. 15 decision making. 15 determination. Teamwork is 16. His marking is fantastic. His tackling is good. Honestly, he's either like a really good no-nonsense centre back or like a really, really good DM. I feel like a DM because he's only 5'11". He's not amazing in the air. I think I would like to train him as a defensive midfielder, so that is something I'm probably going to do. If I have to keep him in the under 21s for a little bit, train him as a defensive midfielder, get him a wee bit of football in there. But look, all in all, his mental stats are very, very standout for an 18-year-old. Then we brought in another Brazilian. Big look, we brought this man in just for his hair alone. His hair is fantastic. But joking aside, he's 18 years old, centre back, cost a total of 13 million. Once again, had a release clause. Physical stats are absolutely insane. He's 6'3", can play with both feet, an amazing mentality. 15 acceleration, 13 pace, 13 stamina, 15 jump and reach, 16 balance, 19 bravery, 15 determination, 15 positioning, 15 tackling, and like I said, we didn't have to pay a ton of money for him. He's also got really, really high potential. Another one I would like to get loaned out and get a wee bit of first team football. It seems to be pretty difficult to loan players out. I don't know what it is. Attacking players, I can get loaned out straight away, like strikers and all that sort of shit, but like defenders, especially centre backs, is a little more difficult to get loaned out. Maybe people are just worried about like a young player playing at centre back. But this is one, I think, honestly, I feel like this kid would be good enough to play in the Championship, and I would like to keep him in the English League. But look, if we can get a loan deal for him, I would like to get him out the door and get him a wee bit of experience. Then one of the next ones, I think, probably one of our standout signings is Johan Müller. Is anybody else notice really, really good centre backs are expensive as fuck in AFM now? Like, they really, really are. I've paid more for our defensive players than I have for the attacking ones, but this one is obviously a standout. Like, he's 19, he just turned 19, he's Belgium, 6'1", strong with 1 foot, very strong with the other, amazing mentality. Like, his physical stats are absolutely insane. 14, 15, 18, 14, 13, 15, 14, already at 12 strength, and he's just turned 19. Marking of 16, tackling of 17, but he's got good technique at 15 already. Mental stats are very, very good. 13s, 14s, 15s. His heading is really, really good. Long ways jump and reach. You can see over here how good he looks. I'm actually going to work on a little bit of his ball control because his dribbling is only 10 and his first touch is only 12. I would like this to go up because I think he could be an exceptional ball playing defender. But like I said, need to get him a wee bit of football. But this is one I feel like is gonna play beside Scalvini this year. I feel like this kid he's well worth it. Costs us a total of 25 million. Once again, he had a release clause. There was a lot of release clauses in our transfers, but I feel like this is one that can step straight into the first team. But probably the biggest signing and the one that's cost us the most money, because you can probably already tell he's English, so you're going to get your pants pulled down for the price. But honestly, I feel like the money we paid for him is worth it between his potential and already how fucking good he is. I know you're looking at him and thinking he's got big ears. Look, leave him alone, okay? Look, it helps him with like hearing everything around him. But look, joking aside, this one was expensive, cost a total of 16 million because he's English. We bought him from an English club, which gets a little expensive. He is only 5'11", so this is going to be our new defensive midfielder because of the crazy potential he has. He's got a fantastic mentality. Look, 14 acceleration, 14 pace, 17 agility, 19 balance. Jump and reach is a little low. That's why he's going to be playing in DM instead of playing him in that other position, defensive midfield. I was going to work on his jump and reach and try and make him a really, really good centre back, but I would rather him be in DM. I feel like we're pretty good for centre backs. So like, if I was playing 3 centre backs, I would move him into one of the centre back roles and play him as like a libero. But I feel like he's going to be really, really good in the middle of the park. So I am going to work on his passing technique and vision. I would like him to be really, really good on the ball. He's already got 13 first touch. This is going to go up. So I'm going to work on his passing. It's only 11. But as you can see, the rest of his stats are crazy. He's got 15 fucking strength, 15 stamina, 14 natural fitness. You already probably see the main one. He's got 20 determination, hence why he's got that dark green mentality. On top of that, all 13s and 15s in here. Anticipation is 13, composure is 13, 15 concentration, 15 decision making, 14 leadership, which is fantastic. The more people we can get with good leadership skills in the team, the better. He's already got 18 fucking tackling, 15 technique, 14 marking, and 15 heading. And like I said, yeah, we had to pay a little bit of money for him, but this is what you look. I don't need to explain this. When you have to buy English players, you're going to get your pants pulled down for the price. And I would like to keep a couple of English players in the team. Obviously, registration is a huge part of that too. But a lot of the players that are going to be playing for us are going to be playing in the under 18s and under 21s for a couple of seasons. So they're going to be like homegrown anyway at some point. But this is one I really like. This and our other centre back, Muller, are the two standout ones. So it wasn't done there with regards to transfers. I ended up bringing in Felix Namicha. This was I think this is a really, really good signing. Obviously, with us losing Kanate, I wanted someone with a wee bit of experience. Obviously, we have a bunch of really, really good young players that can play in the attacking midfielder role, but they're young, they're inexperienced, and I'll kind of want to push and try and keep us in Champions League football this year. And Namicha has a ton of experience. He's 27. He's also English, technical and mental and physical stats. He's really, really good all across the board. He really is. And for 22 million, I think this is an absolute steal. Just like literally 2 minutes ago, yeah, we may be losing a keeper, but it's okay. It's not the keeper you're thinking of. It's not our young little maestro. It is Carneshi. Look, this is one I was happy. He wants to be a first team keeper. He's only 28. I completely understand this. We bought him for a total of 5 million. As you can see, the Saudi League have come in, give us a bid, 20 million up front, and then the rest of installments working its way up to 30 million. So yeah, we're making like a 25 million pound profit on a keeper. And like I said, we're sticking with the whole Brighton thing. Buy them cheap, sell them on really expensive, and I think we've done really well. And like I said, he's a second choice keeper right now, and for 30 million for your second choice keeper, I think it's pretty good. So this is what the team is going to go looking like what the team is going to look like going into season 5. I am very, very happy with this. Obviously, like I said, I could have went out and bought the best of the best players, but our reputation's still not insane. Like, look, Jamal Musiala is interested in signing forwards. Yes, could I go and spend 180 to 200 million? Of course. We have the money. We have about 400 million to spend, but that's not what I want to do. I like bringing players in young and just developing them. And obviously we do have a bunch of really, really good players at the club, but this has been a lot of fun. So obviously our young keeper has progressed very, very well. Look, still strangely not playing at a Premiership level yet. I can't wait to see what he looks like when he is a Premiership level, because he's already very, very good. By the time this kid's like 22 years old, honestly, he's going to be absolutely ridiculous. So you're getting yourself a really, really good keeper. Then Gutierrez, young Muller, like I said, I'm going to play him in beside Scalvini. I feel like this kid could be absolutely disgusting. And him and Scalvini together, two big physical units. Then of course, Tino Livramento out on the right hand side. Oshlopp in beside Baleba is what I would ideally want. And then young Buonetti and Naipan as the two attackers. They're the more technically gifted players. And then Namicha is that more well-rounded, so I'm going to play him in the support role. And then of course young Castillo as our striker up top. Once again, look, could we have went out and just bought like a world-class striker? Yes, but once again, I'm trying to stick with like a story with this whole thing. We've made Brighton what have we made? 510 million through the 5 seasons, honestly. And I've went and asked the board. Here's the strange thing, I keep going and asking the board about the stadium, because our stadium's only like 33,500. So I was like, right, okay, I could go and ask them every year, look, can we upgrade the stadium? You can't actually upgrade the stadium, which is weird. The only option is to build a new stadium, and because building a new stadium's a little expensive, they keep saying no. So I can't upgrade the stadium, which is wild, because we could be raking in, I would like to get us up to like a 60,000 seater, but the only way we're going to do that is be able to obviously build a new stadium. So it's a weird option. It's strange that we can't upgrade the stadium, but look, it is what it is. But this guy, once again, still not playing at a Premiership level and got himself, what, like 30 odd goals last year. So like I said, we've got a couple of young players that still need a little time to develop. Ipan, of course, is just absolutely disgusting. Don't worry, his stats are only going down because he was out in injury and he's just coming back. He's worth 100. I'm honestly surprised nobody has tried to come in and steal him. I really, really am. And then, like I said, Brunetti, another one, very, very good. Probably close to his full potential. This is one you could probably upgrade, but look, the kid has done everything I need him to do. I think this is a really, really good team. Interested to see how Allslop and Müller play this year along with Castillo, but I'm very, very excited. I'm really, really, really enjoying this rebuild because we haven't went out. Obviously, we've bought Scalvini, who is a big one. Gutierrez is a big one. Tino Livramento is well known to be good, but he's not like a crazy. We've spent probably more money in our backline than we have going forward. But I'm very, very happy with this team. I think they're really, really good. Obviously, if there's anybody available in the approach of signs, I'll not bring his back in January, and I'll show you after this. And then I'm hoping for season 5, can we just get one absolute banger young player from one of our youth intakes just before we finish the save? But boys, that's enough messing about. Let's go play season 5. So boys, we're at the end of season 5. Obviously, if we're here, the youth intake was not great. We did get a 3-star, but there was nobody that was like outstanding or anything in it. My goal, season 5, like I said, I think we've done fantastic. Look, I've got us exactly where I want to be. We're pushing up on the Champions League football. We're in the Champions League every year. This season, I kind of want to push on a little bit. Push up, try and break into that top sort of like 3 or 4 teams and just be super competitive in the league all the time. Also, be competitive in the Cups and the Champions League. Just be an all-round very good team. And I think we've got a really, really good mix of players, youth and experience. And then obviously we've got all the young players. But boys, let's go see how we did in the league. So we started things off against Manchester United at Old Trafford and we drew them 2 each. This is showing that we now can compete with the big boys and we can give them a good run for money, where before they were just kind of slapping us around all the time. This season also had a bunch of really, really good results. We ended up beating Arsenal 4-0. We also ended up beating Man City 1-0 at the Etihad. We then also beat Chelsea 1-0. Unfortunately, still couldn't get that win over Manchester United. We also drew them 2 each again in the second match. Boys, with all those fantastic results, we won the league. So that wee small change in the tactic. Obviously, it took the tactic a year and a half, 2 years to kick in and start doing that. And that's the main thing. When people put tactics into their save, they expect just like half a season, you're a god team. You need to give things time. You need to buy the right players for the right positions. So if you ever get a plug and play tactic off anybody, especially like GYR, I recommend using his videos, and his tactics are fantastic. Please give them time. They will work. You just need to find the tactic that suits the team that you want to play. But like, we played 38 games, 26 wins, 9 draws and 3 losses, 66 goal difference and 87 points. It was pretty close with Arsenal. At one point we were first and then we drew a game, and then Arsenal was first and then we won a game and then they drew a game. So it was just like back and forward for a little bit. Yeah, it was a little tight, but this is my favorite part. Young Justin Castillo, our young Wonderkid striker, is top of the Premiership goal scoring. So it just shows, look, we give him a wee bit of time and he has progressed very, very well. Tino Livramento and Acosta are busy in there for averagings. Tino had a great season. Tino was in there, 14 assists in the Premiership. Gutierrez and Allslop, our young defensive midfielder, are in there 1 and 2 for yellow cards. Our young keeper is right in there for clean sheets. He's right in behind Ryan Vicario, 16, 16 and 17. So like one more clean sheet, he could have been joined first. Tino Livramento, of course, in there for player of the matches. And if we go to the team overall stats, most points per game was us by 2.29. Closest was Arsenal, 2.18. Most goals, 99. We can't break the 100 mark. We really can't. Look, we were miles ahead of anybody, and that's the massive important thing. Most shots for is us by like 160, which is absolutely wild. Few shots against, we're down there in 4th. I'm pretty happy with that. Most clean sheets, Spurs was 17, 16, 16, 16, 16. So we're joint 2nd for clean sheets. Once again, very, very happy with that. Fewest conceded. Chelsea had the best defensive record, 30 with 33, so we're only 3 behind. All in all, this is absolutely fantastic. Look, I'm not gonna lie, I thought we were gonna push like top 3. I would have been very, very happy with top 3. I've done everything I want to do with this save. Like I said, I could have went out and bought the best players in the world, but it's not what Brighton do. They bring in young players, they develop them, sell them on for an absolutely shit ton of cash, and we have made a bucket load of cash over the save. I'll tally it all up at the end of this and we'll see how much we've made and how much we've spent. But the league, this is nice. Just to see Brighton win the league up here. It's also nice to see another team win it apart from Man City. But boys, that's the league out of the way. Let's go and see how we did in the Cups. So we start things off in the FA Cup in the 3rd round. We played Cardiff, we smashed them 3-0. That then took us on to the 4th round. We faced off against Lincoln, we beat them 4-0. In the 5th round, we faced off against Sheffield Wednesday, beating them 4-1. So we've got, I would say, a relatively easy run so far. That then took us to the quarterfinals. We faced off against Man City. Unfortunately, They beat us 2-1. It is what it is. Look, when you come against Man City, Liverpool, one of the top teams in the Premiership, the matches can go either way. Look, we held our own all season. We've done very, very well. Look, Man City didn't even play great. 0.71 XG. We had a 1.44. We had 17 shots. So, honestly, we could have put this game away. We just didn't stick the ball in the back of the net enough. And we paid the price for it. Which then took us over to the Carabao Cup in the third round. We played Villa, beat them 1-0. A good result against a Premiership team straight away. But don't get too excited because that's where the fun ended. Man City, once again, beat us 2-1 away. They have beat us both times when we've been at home 2-1. Honestly, we had once again the better XG. They had a 1.58, we had a 2.0, 16 shots once again. We just didn't put the ball in the back of the net. And once again, we paid the price for it. So unfortunately, Man City's put us out of both cups. This kind of sucks. Which, boys, then moved us over into the Champions League phase. We started off against PSV. Not a great start. We get beat 2-1. But we did turn things around against Olympiacos. We ended up beating them 3-1. We then beat AZ 3-0. We then faced off against PSG. They ended up beating us 3-2. But honestly, this is a very, very good result for us because, like, we showed we can hang with the big boys. Once again, we had 17 shots. Only 8 on target. We had a better XG. Just once again, we can't get it in, boys. But all in all, a good result against a really good team. We then beat Salzburg 1-0. We then managed to somehow draw with Celtic 1-each. Celtic, I don't know what it is, if it's this database. The same as Tottenham, they just seem to play really, really well. Once again, we were the way better team. But we did manage to get a result against Benfica, beating them 1-0. In our final league phase match, we ended up beating Juventus 2-0, which is a fantastic result. If we go to the league phase, as you can see, we ended up finishing right in behind City. We were 9th. We were literally on points. They get in, I think, because of goal difference. Yeah, they literally got in because of goal difference. So we could have been in the top 8, but I'm happy enough, which means now we go to the knockouts. We faced off against Porto. We ended up drawing 2-each in the first match. The second match was not so close. We ended up slapping them 4-0 to go through 6-2 in aggregate to the round of 16, where we somehow managed to absolutely smash the brakes off Man City, beating them 6-1 in the first leg. We seem to do better against big teams than we do against small teams. And it's just as well we got that good result because they beat us 4-2 at the Etihad, but we went through 5-8 on aggregate, which took us to the quarterfinals. We faced off against Barcelona and somehow obliterated. We are very, very good at home in the Champions League. We beat them 4-0. Suzuki, our young kid, I ended up keeping him in the team. I'll show you where I played him. Yeah, he had a hat trick against Barcelona in the first match, but the winning did not stop there. We also ended up beating them at the new camp 3-2, so we went through 7-2 in aggregate. We faced off against, of course, Real Madrid, but let's be honest, if you get to the semi-finals of the Champions League, no matter who's there, it's going to be an unreal team. They ended up beating us 2-0 to Bernabeu. Nathan Patterson plays for them. Hold on a second. 26 million and he's now valued at 80. That's a strange transfer. But I thought maybe when we went back to home, we could beat them, and just unfortunately they beat us 2-1. So we ended up getting smashed 4-1 in aggregate by Real Madrid. Look, honestly, we have massively overachieved with regards to Champions. I didn't think we were going to win the league. We won the league. We get smashed, unfortunately, in both of the cups, but something has to give. When you're playing in the Champions League and you're playing in the Premiership, like, something has to give somewhere. I'm glad it was the cups. I'd rather do well in the league and do well in the Champions League. Look, won the league, got the semi-finals of the Champions League, get put out by one of the best teams in the world, probably the best team in the world apart from PSG at the minute, obviously. Congratulations to them on winning the Champions League. But yeah, a very, very good season. I'm not disappointed at all. So then with regards to team performance, our young keeper, Dimitri, is now playing at a Premiership level. And yeah, starting to progress very, very well. Played 59 games, 56 conceded, but 25 clean sheets. And you've got to remember, he's only 19. Then one of the ones I was really, really interested to see how well he would do in his first season is Johan Muller, obviously our new centre-back. Started 59 games, 2 goals, 3 assists. I know people are thinking he probably should score a few more goals, but he's only 6'1", and we have a lot of big boys in our team. In the big man playing in beside him, Giorgio Scalvini, played 45 games, 2 goals, 4 assists. Sila didn't really get as many games, but like I said, he's not great in this version of the database. Usually Sila is absolutely fucking fantastic. Only started 1 game, 5 off the bench. Samson Beidou surprisingly started a decent amount of games, 18 started, 26 off the bench, 1 goal, 5 assists. As you can see, he does have the TM, the transfer beside. So yeah, January came around, he was upset his spaghetti, he wanted to go and play first team for a other team. So yeah, Bayern ended up coming in for him. We sold him for a total of 54 million. Look, We paid 17.5 for him and sold him on for 55 million. So once again, made a huge profit, and we have more than enough centre backs to cover him leaving. One of those ones that the assistant manager seems to favour quite a lot is Lucio Acosta, our young Argentinian centre back. He started 23 games, 16 off the bench, 3 goals, 8 assists. He's also progressing very, very well. As you can see, look, he still has a long way to go to improve. Gutierrez out on the left hand side had a wee bit of a quieter season. 52 games started, 11 goals, 3 goals and 11 assists. So only 14 goal involvements in 52 games. Would have liked to see a wee bit more from him, because we all know how good he is. But his buddy in the R side, Tino Livramento, had a very, very good season. 40 games started, 2 goals, 24 assists and a 7.4 for the season. Look, like I said, it'd be nice for both of our centre backs to get 20 goal involvements in a season, but look, you can't always guarantee that both of them are going to play fantastic. Sometimes this happens, one plays good, the other one doesn't, or both of them play kind of average. I would rather both of them play kind of above average and say like 15 goal involvements each, than just like one person doing something and the other person just not doing anything. Of course, we do also still have Valentino Barco at the club. 6 starts, 18 off the bench, 1 goal, 2 assists. Obviously, he wants to go and get first team football, so if you take the save on, you're more likely he's probably going to want to go out the door. He is valued very, very highly, so you could probably make a massive profit on him. Like I said, they bought him for 8 million. If you sell him on, say, even if you got low ball of 50 million, you make a massive profit on him, like 42 million. Then, of course, we do also have Bastian at the club as well. 6 starts, 43 off the bench, 2 goals, 1 assist. And he's another one, look, he's just happy to be here, and I like that. Then, of course, the big man in the middle of the park, Baleba, looks absolutely disgusting, by the way. This is him pretty much close to full potential, but like there's no way he's not world class. He's a leading Premiership player. There's no way this kid's not fucking world class. It's crazy. Started 50 games, 10 goals, 5 assists and a 7.2 for the season. Obviously playing in defensive midfield, so I don't expect him to get a ton of goals and assists, but he had a good average rating, which is what I want. And then, of course, the young man that we just bought in the summer, Karl Oslop. Like I said, look, did I need to go out and buy this kid? No. But I'm trying to keep as many young English players in the club. I'm not going to lie, there's not a lot of really good English players in this database. Obviously, like as the seasons go on, every youth intake, you're going to get new players. At the minute, just not a lot of really good ones. There's not any ones that I would go and spend a lot of money on. The rest of them are kind of okay, and I'm not going to just get my pants pulled down for a shit player. I didn't mind spending the 60 million on Oslop because he's fucking ridiculous. So 57 games started, 10 goals, 5 assists. Like I said, I have been working on his passing. As you can see, his passing's now up to 12, his vision's up to 13, his technique was already good at 15. But like I would say, you give him another season and a half, 2 seasons, the kid's already disgusting. Him and Baleba, you don't need to change your 2 centre defensive midfielders unless you want to, but the 2 of them are disgusting. Of course, we also still have Lewis Millie, who once again is another one that's just kind of happy to be around. He didn't start any games, 5 off the bench. Obviously, if you take over the save, you can play the games yourself and you can give him a lot more football, but he's another one I would just keep around. He's also English and he's only 23. Another one that's just happy to be around as well is Gabriel Moscardo. I've had no complaints from him at all. Started 3 games, 41 off the bench. The same as Lewis Millie. If you take a save on, you can play more games yourself. But he's another one, really, really good player to have around. We've 4 super solid defensive midfielders. Then moving up into the exciting stuff, of course, the attacking players. Young Facundo, 51 games, 19 goals and 10 assists. So 29 goal involvements in his his second season starting. So like all in all, very, very happy with him. He's always been rated really, really highly. Who wants him? Man United? Not a chance. Then, of course, young Naipan, 46 games started, 22 goals and 9 assists. So another great season. It's just, the kid is ridiculously good. And then, of course, Namicha, who we bought in the summer, 52 games started, 15 goals and 8 assists. He ended up at the end of the season, when it got to April, I was seeing how well one player was playing and decided to throw him into the team. But honestly, all 4 of these players got a ton of football. And that player is obviously young Suzuki. We know he had the potential. I did want to loan him out, couldn't get him loaned out. And then, like I said, came back in January. He was playing well. Back in April again, he was playing disgustingly good. So I just put him in and started him. As you can see, 16 games started, 28 off the bench, 15 goals, 3 assists. But like, he looks very, very good now. And like, we paid a total of 5 million for him, and he's worth nearly 70 odd million now. He's a player just because of his how good he is, like pace, attacking and technique wise, is one of those players. He's just so hard to stop. I was able to loan out young Pierce Barefoot, another one I think has a lot of potential. Obviously, like I said, once again, if you take the save on, you can play them a lot more. This is the downside, the simulating saves, because I can't just go to the assistant manager. I want you to put him on at halftime if we're winning, because the assistant manager, you can't do any of that. Where if I'm playing the games, I'm winning 3-0 at halftime, I'm bringing this kid on and giving him some football, or I'm starting him in the smaller games. That's the only downside with like simulating it. It's hard to grow young players unless you lock them in, and then if you lock up a young player in that's not good enough yet, but you know he's going to be good, you kind of fuck up your team chemistry. You have a chance of losing games that you would have normally won. And trying to loan, I didn't think it would be so hard to loan good players out, but apparently nobody wants to loan people like this out. I didn't think it would be so hard to loan out, obviously, really good players. We were lucky enough to get him loaned out, but there was a bunch of players I tried to loan out. Suzuki was one of them, couldn't get him loaned. Of course, we still have Julio Enciso at the club, another one that's just happy to be here. Started 22 games, 24 off the bench, 8 goals, 8 assists. Skyvink, another one I've been trying to loan out for fuck knows how many seasons. Honestly, I think he could have been a lot better if we would have been able to get him loaned out. But look, all in all, we paid, what, 8 million for him, 8.5 million for him a couple of seasons ago, and he's happy to play as a squad player. Another one that was a little bit of a strange one, once again, I tried to loan out because he's also English, is this guy, Adrian Kalantari. Another one, he's English, he's young, he's explosive. Don't think he's going to be a first team starter, but he's going to be a good backup, and obviously we need like a certain amount of English players for registration. The one we're all interested to see how well he did is Justin Castillo. Played 50 games, 33 goals, 4 assists, and a 7.16 for a season. And look, he still could improve a lot, and he's got a great mentality. This kid is just, he's going to get a lot better than this. Like, he's only a 3-star. I would say he gets the 4-star easy. If he gets another star better than this, the fact that he's 6'5", 16 jump and reach and 15 heading, he's just going to be a fucking nuisance. And this is a team I'm very happy. We have built something absolutely fantastic here. So I went and checked over basically the 5 seasons how much we had made on selling players. It was 869 million, which is absolutely wild. Obviously, you spend a wee bit of that trying to buy players, and then obviously all the money that we've made from, like, I still have went and asked the board to build a new stadium about 3 times now, and they can't get it done. So hopefully if you take us over, you can get yourself a new stadium built, because like, we have the money. Like, even if you go in and look at our transfer budget, which is absolutely insane, it's 407 million. You could move this around and have 461 million. That would buy you a stand. No, I mean, we could upgrade a stand. Take my transfer budget and just go and upgrade a stand for me and give us more people in the stadium. Like, joking aside, we have built an absolutely fantastic team. This first team is absolutely disgusting, and obviously they're only going to get it better because the young players have still to develop. Our keeper's still developing, our centre back, our defensive midfield, pretty much. I would say Suzuki's about the only one here that's going to develop, and then Castillo, and then obviously you have all these players sitting here. You also have the players that are all sitting in the under 18s, which looks really good. The under 21s looks very good. I have also confirmed Edvan, I think, is going to be, he'll probably be the long-term replacement for Scalvini, or obviously you can bring him up into the first team and get rid of Sila and have him as your backup centre back, which is probably a good idea. 6'3", he can play with both feet, he's got a good mentality, he's an absolute unit, and he's probably not a great ball playing defender, but like, he'll kick some people for you. So I did also confirm the signing of 2 young players. It was people on my shortlist and someone went in for him. So I've confirmed the signing. So if you take the save on, this is people that you're going to have in your team. This guy, Thomas Muskanios, like I said, there's a lot of really good Greek players in FM now at the minute. I don't know if it's this database or whatever, but like, they just seem to be around. This kid has a ton of potential. Playing a 2.5 star, has anywhere from 3.5. Look, if he gets a 3 star, you'd be pretty happy. 3.5 star. He's got a fantastic mentality, can play with both feet. Look, 16 finishing, 14 first touch, good passing, good technique, mental stats are solid, 18 determination, decision making of 15, composure of 15, anticipation of 14. Mental stats play really highly in the strikers, especially like composure and decision making and stuff. Physical stats are really good. You know my love for people being really good in the air, but this is one where I would go and use his attributes, and I would work on his acceleration and pace, and I would get this up to like 15 and 16, just make him an absolute fucking flying machine. Like, he's already reasonably quick. You're not going to get his jump and reach and his heading up to make him really good in the air. I would just honestly work on his pace and just turn him into, like I said, an absolute flying machine. Obviously you're not going to get him up to like 20 and 20, but if you can get his acceleration up to like 15 and his pace up to like 16, 17, he's going to be very good. Then on top of that, I also went and got this guy. Oh yeah, I didn't even show you the price of the other guy. We've confirmed the signing of him. It's going to be a total of 7 million, which I think is a really good deal. Then we also have this big unit of a fella. As you can see, we confirmed the signing of him as well. 3.5 million. Look, this is going to be one as a backup for the striker you've currently got at the minute. If you want to stick with the big, strong, physical dudes like I do, you have this guy as well. Look, probably not as good with regards to like mental stats, but for 3.5 million, he's got to be a decent backup striker. Got a great mentality, super assistant, can play reasonably well with both feet. Obviously, his physical attributes is the things that stand out. Good acceleration, good agility, jump and reach of 18 at 6'3", and then of course that 16 heading. But he's also got really good crossing, good dribbling. If he's gonna play as a striker, I would probably work on his finishing. His finishing's only 11, try and get us up to like 13 or 14. But all in all, like I said, he's a backup for 3.5 million. But all in all, boys, I think we've done exactly what I wanted to do with this Brighton save. Look, we won the Premiership, we've done well in the Champions League, we've stayed in there, we've won the cups. We've done everything we wanted to do, and we made an absolute bucket load of cash. Even though the board, I'm still upset that the board won't give me my new stadium, alright? So hopefully if you take the save on, you can build a stadium. But look, you're gonna take on an absolutely fantastic team. And like I said, if you want to take the save file on, the save file, the corner routine, the updated database, and both of the tactics that I have used in the save will all be in the pinned comments when this video goes live. You can just go down, download them for free, play away, let me know how you get on. But boys, all in all, this has been a lot of fun. Obviously, I'm not too sure how the poll's going right now. It's either going to be Parma or Deportivo La Coruña. Boys, I think that's going to be a good spot to stop off for today's video. Thank you very much for watching. Remember, like, comment, subscribe. Only if you fucking want to on YouTube. Have yourselves a fantastic day.